Good evening. Good evening. Hope y'all can hear me pretty well out there. What's good, my No Excuse family? What's good, my Passport brothers? So I'm having a returning guest, brother Andre from Andre and Andrea Love Crossing Borders. Um, so we should have an interesting discussion tonight. This is what I would consider grown man discussion, leveling up, things of that nature. So the topic tonight is about being a provider internationally. you know and this kind of translates to being a provider um wherever you're at. So we want to talk about what that looks like. And with further ado, I'm gonna bring up brother Andre.
What's up, brethren? What's up? How's your night going?
Oh man, it's going pretty well, man. I mean, it feels like a Friday, but I got one more day. How about yours?
Okay, cool. Pretty good, man. It's been busy, man. I've been going at it all day long, man. I've had a few videos to drop, and then I'm still writing. I got a couple of books that's coming out next month, so I've been working on those. But other than that, man, everything's been going great. Can't complain. Super Bowl weekend coming up. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. So you gonna be watching it from Colombia?
Oh yeah, man. They already got planned in every Hooters across the country. You basically got to make reservations to get in, man. There's a lot of people that's going to be watching the Super Bowl. So yeah, definitely.
About time, man. So real quick, how is popular is American sports? Let's say the Super Bowl, for example, because I know when I went to obviously DR, they have something, but like when I went to
Mhm.
Brazil, it just wasn't popular. When I went to I was in Brazil a couple of times for Super Bowl, wasn't popular. So in Colombia, is this something that Colombians kind of look forward to, or they're just more
Not
catering to
not
the foreign?
necessarily Colombians. It's more or less the growing population of expats from the states that are moving here
Mm,
that are having locations, and now you have spots like such as Hooters that are realizing, hey, let's capitalize on the Super Bowl because it's the number one major sporting event in the world every year, and so they're like, okay, cool, let's capitalize on this. And so a lot of people where they find probably would stay at home, now they're coming out to the spots such as Hooters and other spots uh, to enjoy Super Bowl in the group and not just maybe one or two people. So it's not necessarily the Colombians that are adamant about it, but it's more or less like uh, the foreigners. But what makes it packed because Colombians are social people anyway, so they see a bunch of people in a spot drinking and eating, enjoying themselves. All of a sudden, the women come in, the guys come in, and everybody's watching the Super Bowl, whether they understand it or not, because they're gonna have it in translation as well.
okay, okay, cool, cool.
Closed
Yeah,
caption.
I'll be checking it out, man. But yeah, man, I definitely appreciate you coming on, man. Guys, I want you guys out there, show your love, subscribe to the brother channel. I always hyperlink it in the title. Um, I value people time. And I mean, time is one of the most valuable things you can give somebody. And so, I mean, I definitely appreciate your time,
Oh
brother.
yeah, I appreciate being on, brother.
So so I want you to give some tips on being the provider role, but I'm gonna kind of throw some throw some questions out there. Let me pull up some of my notes real quick. So the basis of this discussion is gears towards overseas. There's a different dynamic when you're dealing with foreign women versus women in the United States, which for the most part women have jobs or they have you know some type of income coming in, even some that receive maybe government assistance. But typically you're not looking at women in the U.S. as looking, needing money because they need food or you know, just survival. So brother Andre, for those who don't know, he's married to a Colombian. and I'm engaged to a Colombian. So the reason how we kind of got to this topic was because I was kind of sharing some things with Brother Andre, and I look at him as like a mentor, a big brother, and I had some questions in regards to being a provider, because what I've been doing up until this point has been a certain way, and I'll get into that a little bit later. And he kind
Right.
of shared some things what he did when he started dating this woman. So the first question I want to throw out there is, and this is for you guys in the chat. Just respond yes or no. If you have a woman, a girlfriend or wife, or maybe a chick you just dated, do you want her to work or not? If you want her to work, put say yes. If you don't want her to work, say no. Because
Now,
that's a big deal. Go ahead.
the first thing is, are you talking about from the international scale? Lay a foundation. Are you talking about from the international scale? Are you talking about, are they back home and they're just talking about that woman not working in the States? Or are you talking about from the international perspective, like they may be dating somebody in this country and they may be and you may be able to provide for her? So the question is, are you letting them know, is it national or is it international?
Oh, not international. So if you live in the United States and your
For example,
girlfriend, you're going in and out. If you live in the United States and your girlfriend or wife or a chick you dating, casual dating, she lives in another country, do you want her to work? Meaning, do you want her to work as in she provide for herself and not really relying on you, or not, or for her not to work so she can rely on you. And I'm gonna get into why I'm asking these questions. So let me look at some of these responses real quick. Yes, she should work. Okay, somebody said she should work. Steven said no. Okay. Okay, that's the same no. T Love in the building. He said no. Okay, cool. So far, I got two no, or y'all got two no's and one yes. So the reason why I say, do you want your woman to work? Because what I've realized is that when in my situation, if a woman works, you can't control what type of work that she want to do. She could work a job where she's going to be in contact with men all the time. She could work at a job that's low key, maybe like a bank or an office job. She could work in a restaurant where there's a lot of foreigners coming in, a bar, a disco, a promoter. Because and I'll let Brother Andre talk on this. It's so many non-traditional things they can do. And so when you say you want your girl to work, you thinking American type of jobs, like they got all type of side jobs. Brother Andre, I want you to chime in, brother.
Okay. First thing is, my wife is an accountant, so having a job as a waitress or a working at a hotel or being working in certain fields, I'm only attracted to women that have education goals, on their own businesses, things like that. So I go back to the guy. I go back to the man, the common denominator in everything. Now, mind you guys, if I freeze for a second, it's because my Wi-Fi is messing up tonight, so forgive me. But so I hope you guys hear me clearly. The common denominator in the whole scenario is going to be you guys. If you choose a woman that doesn't have the career that makes you comfortable, then you have to ask yourself, you chose her. No matter how she looked, no matter how nice she is, she got the greatest personality, but you chose her. The word that you also use as a common denominator also is control. If you find that you have to control the woman or control her atmosphere or control her scenario, it might not work out for you in the first place anyway. So, because you can't control somebody from another continent. I'm going to say that one more time so you guys can hear this. That person can't control you from another continent, and you cannot control them from another continent. So the foundation should definitely be the type of person, the career person that makes you feel comfortable and they feel comfortable with doing what they want to do. So that's how I look at it. The common denominator is you. So if you chose that type of person and they have to work in those environments, you have to ask yourself, am I really going to be comfortable with this?
That's a good point. Good point. And I see you keep reiterating the word choose. And when I hear that, it triggers me because I have to realize that, in a lot of women that I've dated and the one I'm with now, there are a lot of similarities. So part of what you have to understand about yourself, the type of person you attract or attracted to, is a big reflection on you.
True.
If you attract chicks that's always needy, that has a reflection on you. If you attract chicks that always cheat on you, that's a reflection of you. If you like, just like women, if they attract D boys and bad boys, that's a reflection on them. If they say, I always attract dusty dudes, because she dusty.
Right.
She may not see herself as dusty, but because she dusty. So
Right.
that's part of something I've realized about myself. You attract, who you attract is about you. And like you said, you picked them, you chose them. So just kind of want to piggyback some questions that somebody asked. Why would you not want her to work? Let me see if I can put that question back up. Or why shouldn't she work? So it's a preference thing, like I said before. So in my situation, right, I haven't really been wanting my girl to work like that, but you know, since she was looking for things, she was bringing up job options or opportunities that I just wasn't feeling, and I was just like, why would you think I would be cool with like these certain type of occupations, especially if they are, in environments where, and Brother Andre done told me this all the time, like your girl gonna get hit on whether she working, whether she walking to the stuff, So I get that, but if she works in a job where it's increased traffic, and you have to understand too, a lot of women that get hired or that work jobs in Colombia, I'm speaking on Colombia, for example, usually is because they're attractive. Most jobs I see women work where they get a lot of exposure, they're attractive women. And usually it's some, especially in a male dominated society, it's the person that's hiring them, may be attracted to them, may try to hit on them in some instances. And a lot of times they don't have the college education. They can't get them traditional jobs like working, like Andre's working accounting, or something I think is more low key, like working at a bank. So your girl working at a supermarket. Y'all know when y'all go to these countries, y'all know when y'all go to the supermarket, y'all know y'all trying to holler at everything, the cashier, the lady stocking, because I done did that. My girl, she had got an opportunity to like help, like be an Airbnb host, and I wasn't for it, because a lot of people, they need help because people buy properties and foreigners come in all the time, and you need somebody to like let them in and things like that. So, so dealing with her And then other females too, like the other females I've dealt with that had like, side gigs, whatever that may be. You know what I mean? You have to consider, like, I'm in another country, if already that distance, do I want to make the relationship more difficult by her being at a job where, one, maybe she's not able to answer the phone or be responsive as she could. Two, she's working somewhere where she doesn't have a signal, because they use WhatsApp primarily. And then, am I going to be somewhere where she's going to get hit on 10 times as much as she do on a regular basis? Like, those are all valid things. So my last part, and I'm gonna turn it back to Andre, is that the only difference with my girl, she didn't have a job because her family has their own family business, and sometimes she worked with her.
Could you repeat the last part? I didn't hear you, so maybe your audience didn't hear you. Where you said my girl didn't have a job because your voice dropped.
Okay, no, I said she didn't have a traditional 9 to 5 because they have a family business. They have a family restaurant and things of that nature. So I know you was telling guys if their girl don't have a bank account, then that means she don't have a job. But some people do have their own businesses and come from a family with resources. So fortunately,
Correct.
My situation, she comes from a family with resources. So yeah, brother. What's your thoughts on, a woman working or not working?
Mine is be who you were that made me fall in love with you. Be who you were that made me fall in love with you. If you had drive, ingenuity, if you had education, you didn't have education, if you had connections, whatever it was that you were doing to make you prior to meeting me and made me fall for you, I'm not about to interrupt that flow. I'm not about to interrupt that at all. So I know, for example, I don't like women. I'm not attracted to women that over sexualize themselves as far as how they dress. Even though I love a woman that dresses sexy, my dress is very sexy, attractive, very beautiful. We're in the gym almost every day. So I know what type of women I'm attracted to and I'm not attracted to. So I don't allow certain women into my sphere, so I don't have to worry about that. With my wife being an accountant, that means that she's around guys with, and she's corporate accountant. She's not just sitting behind the desk. So her clients own franchises, like 5 or 6, and they're older men and men of means and resource connections. So it's easy for those guys to say, you know what, dang, you looking good these days. I see you doing it well. Dang, I know you're married, but what's up? I got this money. It's easy for me to let something like that into my mind. However, person who she is the person that made me fall in love with her. She already had control of, if a client hits on her, she knows how to handle that. If she gets hits on during lunch break, she knows how to handle that. Walking through the mall, she already knows how to handle that prior to meeting me. So she's not doing it because of me. She's doing it because she already was in the habit of kind of letting men know in her way prior to meeting me. So you have to take that in consideration. The other thing is, there's no such thing as a guarantee. I know women that stay at home and get their back blew out. Why are you sending them money? So now we always say in the States, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So now the person is at home, you're sending the money, they want to do something with their lives, and now all of a sudden, here we go. They got spare hours now. They got just many hours as a pay-for-play girl because you're paying for everything. So at the end of the day, my reason saying that is there is no guarantee, not for me, not for my wife. We talk about this, that we just hope that the other person doesn't cheat. We hope that the other person doesn't disappoint. But there is no guarantee for me. There is no guarantee for Andrea. So we don't walk around putting that type of pressure on each other. The other thing for me is, when it comes to control and what you said, consider, I also realize the person who she felt in love with me, I've got to still be that person. I've got to still have that ingenuity, still have that drive, still have that desire to accomplish things. If I begin to become insecure, jealous, unfocused, misdirected, misunderstanding husband, that's not the person she fell in love with. Now I'm a whole brand new Andre who she never knew before, because all of a sudden certain characteristics that don't belong to me all of a sudden start showing themselves. So when the woman falls out of love, we looking crazy, and she's telling you, you're not the person who I fell in love with. The person I fell in love with had focus, drive. He was focused on his goals. Being too focused on a woman will cause you to lose a woman.
Facts.
Life is not about looking at each other. Life is about looking in the same direction. I'm going to say that one more time. Life is not focusing on each other. Me and Andre do not focus on each other. Our focus is to be focused in the same direction. That's what makes our marriage successful.
Wow. So let me ask you a personal question. Were you ever at any point in life, were you ever insecure in a relationship, or have you always had a sense of, I'm not going to, let my mind play tricks on me?
My first girl cheated on me with my boy down the street. I started out the gate getting cheated on. Started out the gate, so it would have been easy for me to walk in insecurity, but I just moved up, and she told me why. And I went on here. I went and asked my sister, is this true? She said yes. I was 16 years old. I improved in that area. I didn't take it personally. I F her. I improved in that area and never looked back. Never looked back. I don't do insecurities ever. I'm not a jealous dude. All of us can be replaced. All of us. There's not a woman that's in our lives that's fine enough that can't be replaced. Even if the woman has your children can't be replaced, but she can be replaced in your life, and you can just be co-parents. So like I said before, there is no guarantees with anybody, whether you're the Lord of the Ring or you just a person that boyfriend, girlfriend, or y'all doing pay for play, or y'all just hooked up when y'all come to town. When you come to town, either way, there is no guarantees. So there is no career that you can have a person say, well, I don't like that career. Or if you got them at home, there's nothing that said that she can't get her back broke in, because now she got all this time in the world to get her back broke in, because you footing all the bills.
That's a double-edged sword, man.
Not necessarily a sword. It's actually where you just allow the person to be who they're going to be and support who they're going to be, and realize that they love you enough to be the person that you fell in love with. I never worry about Andre. Andre go out, drive the truck, she gone. I don't sit back and worry about Andre. I got too many things that I'm focused on here to take care of than to worry about the woman that I'm with. But I made the decision to be with the type of woman that I don't have to worry about. And a lot of times dudes project what you've experienced or what we've experienced on our new woman. And we don't like women do that to us. We always tell them, I'm not your ex-boyfriend. Don't be talking to me like that. Or I'm not your ex-boyfriend. Don't be looking at me like that. But we're so quick to do that to our new woman. Whatever hell and high water we experience with other women, we are quick to put that on our new woman. And that's not fair.
Wow, man, that's maturity, brother. That's maturity. I know a lot of brothers, even myself, have dealt with I would say past pain, past disappointments. And for a lot of men, we love hard, we trust hard, but after that one woman, or for some maybe that second woman, once they play us, it's like all woman is, we just can't give them that same level of trust anymore, man. So, it takes a lot of maturity, and that's one takeaway I'm gonna take from what you just said. I want to ask you about preparing or being prepared to take care of another person, whether it's a child or for a woman. So when you, I guess when you were dating your wife, were you prepared to take on that provider role, or was you already prepared?
And we're talking from an international scale. So I always prepare. I'm going to say that again. I always prepare. Before I came over here, I knew that I wanted to be in a relationship with somebody eventually. I didn't know it was going to be Andrea. It was going to be eventually after I got done partying, hanging out, and traveling, just acting a fool in different countries. I knew that eventually, Andre, you're going to sit your tail down somewhere. So I knew that much. So when it came to my economics, I already learned in these countries that I would have to make sure that I focused on preparing myself to take care of more than myself. So instead of sitting back saying, well, it only costs $1,500 to $2,000 a month to live in Colombia, my mind is focused on $5,000 to $10,000 a month. That's what my mind is. And I know that the average Colombian only makes $450 a month. And those fat with two people, that means that they're only bringing in like $1,000 maybe a month with two people, and they got two kids. So you got four people in the family. The average Colombian makes less than $1,000 a month, and they doing all right. So if I can't do it with just two people and $5,000 a month, I'm doing something wrong. So I prepared my economics. My behavior pattern is always prepared. For example, next year we want to focus on having our first child. My economic behavior is to focus on 3 people. So I'm like, okay, I want to bring in at least 15, 20,000 a month. Now, Andre, United States, but when we move outside this country, I don't want my economic mindset to have to change. Like, man, I can't handle the economics in Europe. Oh man, what if we decide to go to the States for 4 months? I can't afford to be in the States for 4 months. No, my economic mindset your economic mindset as a man, provider man, because that's what we are initially. Back to Africa, providers and protectors. A provider man is always preparing, always one step ahead of whatever you're going to be in. Nothing should catch you off guard. It should never be a surprise when it comes to your economics.
That's a good point, man. And that's real talk. You know, will I say that I have a plan in place? Yes. Will I say have I implemented some of the things? Probably not. Preparing for marriage and me taking big trips. In hindsight, it's like, okay, maybe she looking at me like, okay, you are about to have a wife soon. You spending $2,000 here for a trip and things of that nature. Maybe that's something you could have got out of the way maybe a year ago, but like now it's like crunch time. So what I mean. So I definitely get that, and a lot of us don't really get the mentorship. Some people got it, some people get it, and some people don't get it. Some people need to hear things like this. So I hope you guys are listening, especially if you plan on taking that route on, foreign dating. Let's see. So I wanted to kind of talk about, so we talked about preparing, and the next thing I want to ask is, if you're in the U.S., and I guess you could base this on Colombia, how much, in your opinion, I'll give mine after yours. In your opinion, how much should a brother be making in the U.S. to be able to support a woman in Colombia?
How much he should be making, it depends on the city, and it depends on his situation. Once again, goes back to him being the common denominator. It depends on the situation in which he has the woman in. It's not, let's put it like this. I'm going to just put it straightforward. If a person cannot economically take care of somebody, and I want to respond to that comment. If somebody can't economically, as a man, take care of a woman in Colombia, and like I said, the average Colombian only makes $450 a month, and if you twice that, that's only $900 a month. If you can afford $900 a month to take care of a loved one, Nothing wrong with that. Just step back, let them live their lives. Y'all could just be friends for right now. Y'all could be F buddies or whatever, however you want to do it. But step back, because what's going to happen is you may overpay that person or provide for that person when a part of that money should be going into long-term investments. Just like a Facebook user said, you never know what could catch you off guard. So your economics should be in place. Now, the other thing that Facebook user is not taking consideration is we're talking from an international perspective. We're not talking me and my wife sitting in the States and we got to pay what you pay for insurance, for medical insurance, for medication, for emergencies, for ambulances, which we have all the same. If you've ever been to South America, they have all the same medical, if not better in certain areas than the United States. Now, I didn't say all areas, but I said certain areas. So for me to have an emergency, bam, I've got full coverage insurance. My ambulance is taken care of. All my surgeries is taken care of for anything. And I only pay less than 200,000 pesos for me and my wife together. That's like 40 bucks, 50 bucks a month for full coverage insurance, which also covers life insurance. So we're talking from an international perspective. So make sure your comments, guys, center around global perspective, not that expensive US perspective that you're still living in and you think that everybody else in the world is living in. Remember this also when it comes to medical. For example, when it comes to have a paid day medical sick leave, United States is the only major country in the world outside of the island of New Guinea, out east on the other side of China, that doesn't even have paid medical leave. The only major country in the world. Even Colombia's got paid medical leave. So when you make statements, make sure you realize the conversation we're having is from a global perspective, not that expensive US perspective that you have to live and deal with every day that's coming out of your paycheck. And if you get called in the ambulance, you paying $2,500 out of the pocket.
Oh yeah. So this is my I would say outlook. So when I first started traveling, I was making, and this, like you said, is based on the city you live in, but let's say I stay in Philadelphia, by the way. So
see, there you go again. See, I know you talk. You finish your sentences and you drop your voice. I used to do that. You drop your voice when you finish your sentences. You're gonna have to look back on your videos and then realize I do drop my voice. So I didn't hear the last part of your sentence. You said I lived in. I didn't know what city it was. You just said I lived in.
Maybe it's your connection, man. But no, I live in Philadelphia.
That's your voice. You do it all the time. You do it all the time when you talk. You actually finish your sentence. You just drop your voice when you finish your sentence. Be like, yeah, man, and I went down to
crescendo. I'll work.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll work on it. So yeah, I live in Philadelphia.
And there we go. Born and raised.
Well, not born. Okay. So I live in Philly. Cost of living is, I would say, not too expensive here. So when I first started traveling, I was making about $65,000 a year, and that's for a lot of people that's pretty decent, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so it was still, I had money to travel. I had money to travel like every 6 to 9 months, believe it or not. And to take care of a woman on that salary and travel, is tight. Now, if I didn't travel and I was just sending money, then yeah, I could obviously compensate because I'm not spending money on traveling. So Colombia, I just know Colombia and DR. So Colombia and DR is about the same. The minimum monthly wage is about $250 a month. Mm-hmm. And it just depends on the exchange rate. But in Colombia, the minimum wage is about 1 million pesos, which with today's exchange rate, it's about 280. So it just depends on the strength of the dollar at that time. But for now, let's just say it's about 280, the monthly minimum wage in Colombia. So we have to keep in mind, because sometimes we compare minimum wage to United States minimum wage, and the United States minimum wage is about 12,800 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So that would make Colombian minimum wage about 280 times 10. That's about 2,800. 2 more months. So let's just round it up. Let's just round it up to about $3,000 a year.
Right.
Now their minimum wage, well, our minimum wage isn't livable. Their minimum wage, in comparison, is not even livable for Colombians. So even if you are sending your woman Colombian monthly minimum wage, it's good if they're not working, but just keep in mind that you're barely, you know what I mean, you're supporting somebody that can take care of their basic needs out, but they can't have their own place. Like just like minimum wage in the United States, you can't have your own place with minimum wage in the United States. You have to be living with somebody to live off minimum wage, and maybe not even have a car. So saying all that to say is that if you can send, I would say if you can at least send a woman her monthly minimum wage, let's say if it's Colombia or DR, if you could send, let's say if you could send 300 a month, then you can meet her basic needs. If you could afford to send that on top of the bills that you have, and on top of that. Now, Brother Andre said, if you double that, that cushion could be dependent on the type of woman you need and the type of lifestyle and the type of things you're paying for. If you're paying for an apartment, car, other things like that, but just I would say just the bare minimum. If you could afford to send $300 a month, then you could kind of say, I have potential to be a provider, for a woman, let's say in Colombia or DR. What's your thoughts about that?
I would say if you are sitting that person, no human wants to live life for the most part, especially if they're young, active, or have some form of education or some form of drive, wants to live life with the basic necessities. My point in saying that is that'll wear thin within a couple months. That person will be antsy for a new dress. They be antsy for a nice pair of shoes. This is Colombia dancing. She would be antsy for a couple of nights out with her friends that she grew up with. She'll be antsy for all these things. And if the only economics that she's receiving is the basics, and she's a person of drive, desire, hopes, what'll end up happening is that'll get old quick, real quick.
Now,
so at the end of the, go ahead.
I'm gonna challenge you on that, because if you take a woman in the United States, right? If she has so minimum wage in the United States, let's say it's $1,000 a month. A woman with a job in the United States, she wish a man would trick on her $1,000 a month, right? If she got a job, she's like, okay, that's good money. Some women don't even
You
get.
said if she has a job.
Yeah, let me finish.
Right. So
let me finish.
Right.
So if she has a job, I'm gonna bring up no job too. So, and this is from an American woman. If she has a job, some chicks don't even get $200, $100 for child support. So if you're giving a chick $1,000 a month in the U.S., she's gonna look at that like, okay, he is, he can, you're gonna get a lot of cool points. You're gonna be looked at in a different light than a lot of dudes. That's a bag. $1,000 extra a month, it's a lot. She'll feel like you're helping her.
Right.
Now, a woman in the U.S. that doesn't have a job, where I would say in the lowest state unemployment, even in unemployment in the lowest state, in one of the more poorest states, let's say Florida, the
Florida's
highest payout is like
state.
no.
Florida is far from.
Low paying.
I would say, let's say West Virginia. Let's say West Virginia, which is in the bottom 6% of economics.
No. As far as what they pay for unemployment, Florida,
what they pay for unemployment, right?
So what
Yeah,
Florida
you're
pays in
correct.
unemployment is probably like $250 a month, which is
No, it's 250 every week, but which is
yeah.
nothing. Basically, it's
My
nothing.
bad.
You're
Yeah,
correct.
250 every week. So that's still about $1,000 a month. So if you give a woman with no job $1,000 a month in the U.S., she is going to appreciate you. Because dudes is not doing that. You know what I mean? You may not be that 1,000 could go a long way. She could be if she got an apartment, maybe she could make her rent. If her rent $600 a month, maybe she could pay some utility bills. Maybe if she don't live at home, then she got more spending money. So to me, minimum wage for American woman, she will be very happy with it. She'd be very grateful because dudes is not doing that.
Okay, I got now. I got slight. This is my first time ever using this word, pushback. I'm going to lay the foundation of what you just stated. American woman. She is either on unemployment or doesn't have any employment at all. She's receiving $1,000 a month from you. She is maybe living by herself, maybe with a roommate, maybe back with family. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why would you even want to deal with a woman like that? Why would you even want to go back to the common denominator once again is you? Because I know if most of the women that I deal with, I use a perfect example. I've got some really good female friends that that are professionals, but when the pandemic hit, a lot of businesses shut down, correct?
Right.
But these women had already saved $150,000 to pay on their mortgage. They already had the money put to the side to pay on their kids' college tuition. They already had the money put to the side for emergencies. Now, did that money end up dwindling because they had to use it? Of course. And now that everything is turned back around, they're back at work and they're restacking. You see what I'm saying? Is a difference between the type of women that would $1,000 would save their life. If I'm giving a chick $1,000 a month, let's say I'm back in the States. If I'm giving a woman, a grown woman, adult woman, let's say she's 30 years old, 35 years old, hot as can be. If Andre is giving an adult woman $1,000 a month and that's making her money, I will not be with that woman ever. I don't deal with no broke chicks like that. I deal with women that know how to stack on their own. They know how to pinch. They know how to not pinch pennies because they're living in nice. They're traveling. They're doing their things. But if emergencies happen, they were wise enough women to put service to the side. So they need my $1,000 a month to save the day to rescue them. So I wouldn't even put myself in that situation in the first place. So we go back internationally. Internationally, if you know that that person is only going to be able to handle the bare minimum, we just being humans aren't on this planet to be comfortable with the bare minimum. And we will eventually come up with some way, whether we tell you or whether she tells you or she doesn't tell you, I got to have some extra money. I appreciate his money that he's sending. I appreciate that $450 a month that he's sending. But at the end of the day, I want to get me a new dress. And that $450 ain't cutting it.
Time out. You still didn't really address the difference. So if a woman, regardless if you were dating or not, if a woman in the U.S. would appreciate minimum wage,
she won't.
A woman in the U.S. wouldn't appreciate $1,000.
What woman in the States that you dealing with on minimum wage? I did answer your question. What woman in the States would you dare to let in your life and she's on minimum wage? Remember I said it goes back to you. That was my answer. It will always go back to you, no matter how much you try to point to the woman and what she's going through. The common denominator in the type, and that's what I wrote down as you were speaking, the type of women you're allowing into your life, the common denominator is you. So for you to be able in your scenario to speak on the nothing against women that are dealing with economic strains, because all of us have gone through it at one point in time. But if you are purposely gravitating to a woman who is right now going through economic strains and you have to rescue her, this is your fault for drawing that type of woman into your life. Or those.
No, what if you want to though? No,
That's what I said. Even if you want to, it is on you as a person. So all the
but my thing
repercussions.
is, do she appreciate? I'm saying a woman that if I gave a woman that needed money $1,000
That
a month.
appreciation has a shelf life. $1,000 a month in this country, in the United States, is nothing. That has a shelf life. She'll appreciate you month one. She'll appreciate you month two, maybe month three. She's going to be having expectations instead of appreciation. There's a big difference. She'll be expecting it now instead of appreciating it. Month four, she's expecting it and not appreciating it. The first couple of months, yeah, sure. Thank you, baby. I love you. Now it's part of the routine. We're humans, children of habit. So now she's in the habit of expectation and not appreciation. So what you're assuming that she will always appreciate, you gave it to her for 6 months. You're thinking that the whole 6 months will be an appreciation moment. And I'm letting you know, based off of human behavior and how we all are, no matter where we are in the world, that appreciation will just turn into expectation. We don't appreciate year round. We just appreciate maybe 1 or 2 times, and then the expectation kicks in.
Fellas, let me get your thoughts. If you gave a woman $1,000 a month in the U.S., whether she had a job or didn't have a job, would she appreciate it? And if so, how long do you think she appreciated it? Because my mindset, this is how I'm looking at it is, you know how we say Colombian women don't have high expectations on Colombian men, but when it comes to foreign men, they have more expectations on us. I feel the same way about if it was in America. Like if a dude is giving a woman $1,000 a month, she know that's not typical. She know dudes is not. I don't see how she would have that expectation, because a dude could take that away, and she left to figure it out. I do get your point. Go ahead.
And she will figure it out. Women have been figuring it out for years, man. Long before you came along, that woman had already figured it out. And she will always be able to figure out, whether it be another dude that provides, whether it be family members that'll be there for her, whether it be she finds another job. A woman will not all of a sudden, poof, disappear off the planet because your little $1,000 disappeared. No, she will find a way to figure it out, just like we have. We've had moments where we were like, we don't have anybody looking out for you. What's going to end up happening is I got to work it out on my own. You know, we as men have had moments where we had to work it out. So have women, especially women with children. They realize they have no time to just sit back and boo-hoo about it. They got to work it out. Your $1,000 is not coming this month. Okay, she got to come up with something, come up with a plan. So it is once again with the women in other countries. A woman that's receiving a certain amount of money from you in the United States, or let's say in Colombia, it will be initially appreciation, but by human nature, it will just become expectation. It'll just be expected. You'll just be an ATM machine. That's all you're gonna be. And you're in your mind, she's appreciated. Your mind may be for 6 months of appreciation. In her mind, it was only 2 months appreciated, and the rest of it was expectation. And you never want to admit that it was expectation, because you in your mind want to feel like I got my cape on and she appreciates. But at the end of the day, human nature doesn't work like that. None of us work like that. None of us. I've had situations where somebody looked out for me for months. Guess what? The first couple of months were appreciation. That second, third month, just subconscious expectation. And so that's one of the things that a lot of guys that deal with men on an international scale have to realize. If you're sending money to the chick in DR, yeah, that first couple of months or those first couple of payments, she appreciates it. A payment number 4 through 6, let's say it's a 6-month window, it's expectation. She expecting that money now. It's by habit. It's subconscious habit now. And she's going to be thinking this, and this is woman behavior. If you can send me $450, you can send me $500. If you can send me $500, send me $1,000, because she got girlfriends in her ear. And if she don't have girlfriends in her ear, she got family in her ear. And if she doesn't have family in her ear, she got self in her ear. I'm more than $400 a month. Send me 7. But babe, I need 7. I need 7, or I'm gonna go out here and get the other 3.
Mm, yeah, yeah. The threat, and I don't even want to call it.
There's no such thing as a line of economic peace when you're dating a woman. I know that there's no line with my wife. I can't, like I said, I'm real. I'm just a sweetheart. She's excellent with money. She's very thrifty. When Andrea buys something expensive, she knows what she wants. Andrea's like, you know what? I am going to take my monies and I'm going to get that $900 purse. And Andrea will take her monies and just put aside. She's like, I got my savings over here, I got my investments over here, but I got my money that in a couple of weeks I'm gonna get my $900 purse. And Andrea will sit up there, bam, and get her purse because because she's economically wise. But at the end of the day, just because I make way more than the average Colombian, yet there is no limitation of economics where Andrea says, that's enough money, babe. You ain't even got to make no more money, baby. Just Beyonce ain't telling Jay-Z that. She ain't telling Jay-Z that's enough money. We don't need to make no more money. Dr. Dre ex didn't tell him, you know what, babe? Our marriage gonna work if you just stop making money. No, there is no line for women. And once we come to peace with that and not feel threatened by it, you good. You good. There is no limitation. She's not going to sit back and take $300 and you actually think that she's good with $300, $400 a month. No, it's not going to happen. So we have to at least allow this person to say, if that person says, I want to work at this location, babe, and I would make twice as much of what you're sending me. You're like, okay, cool. Because the person, back to you, the person that you're going to be with, you have to have some form of trust that they have what's called caution. The original definition of the word caution is self-bodyguard. It's what keeps us from, fear doesn't keep a person from stepping in the middle of the street. Self-bodyguard does. Caution. We're cautious when we're driving. We're cautious when we're walking across the street. We're cautious when we're on the edge of something. It means we're self-bodyguard. We have to trust our girls in other countries to be cautious, self-bodyguard. But if you can't trust that person, it's either an issue with you or it's an issue with the relationship. And now you have to ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Why am I going through this? And is it healthy in the long run, my relationship? Because if you can't trust their self-bodyguard, you can't be their bodyguard. I'll say that one more time. And if you can't trust them to be their self-bodyguard, caution, then you can't be their bodyguard, especially from another country.
Oh man, you spitting some gems, man. You spitting some gems, man. You know, this is why sometimes iron sharpens iron, man. You know, we don't have all the answers, you know, and a lot of us didn't have the guidance, the male guidance, or things of that nature, man. So you're right, man. So I'm going to build on the premise that if you're able to send minimum wage, don't expect that is going to be appreciated for too long. You're going to have to be able to cover more of that. Now, how much, you know, obviously depends on your money after you pay your bills in the United States. But at the end of the day, like you said, you know, my lady, we worked out something where, I personally don't want her. I personally don't want her to work because I want her to help me with other things. Right. So I told her, I said, you know what? I don't want you to work this job. How much was I gonna pay you? She told me what it was. I was like, I'll send it to you. Now, my issue was, and this is something I shared with Andre, was that, I would look out from time to time, like, money here when I'm there, but like never on a consistent basis, because like I told her, I said, until you're my wife, I'm not going to support you like my wife. But we've been together almost. We've known each other for almost 3 years, and she was down for it. But then now it's like, I've been treating you like a wife for so long. Like, I can't wait till we get married. Like I need, I need to have money now. So I was like,
Right.
I felt like she forced my hand, but on the outside looking in, it was like, you have to provide for her. If she's doing her part.
Right. If you trust her enough to say, babe, I really don't feel comfortable right now with you working, I'll provide your economics. If she trusts you enough to say, okay, I believe in my fiance enough to provide for me as if he was a husband, it's now your job, because you laid that husbandly foundation and said, I put my foot down like a husband, even though you are yet to be a husband. Since you put husbandly foot down, it's your responsibility to step up on another level like a husband. So if saying that I'm sending this amount a month, the basic needs, for example, just an example, if you're sending the basic needs, and once again, guys, forgive me for freezing every few seconds, but if you're sending the basic needs to that person before you get married, what would be the amount that you provide for them after marriage? That they should get that, because you're asking for demands of as if you're husbandly already. Because she could easily say, you know what, you talk it good, thank you, but until you officially become Lord of the Ring, I got to take care of myself. So I hear where you're coming from, potential husband, but at the end of the day, you don't get husband rights to put your foot down yet. She could say that. You see I'm going with that?
Mm-hmm.
So since she's trusts you enough to put your foot down prior to husband, then you should be willing to open up your wallet and let her get wifey expenses, not just girlfriend expenses, not just boo expenses, wifey expenses. And if that sacrifice of some of your travels will have to slow down, so be it. You've made the decision to be a husband. My travels had to slow down, but guess what? Every bit of furniture in here is paid for. I got the size refrigerator I wanted. I got the size bed. I had savings put to the side when I got here. So it just like my brother just said, Facebook user, shout out. I had monies put to the side for emergencies because I realized travel had to slow down and emergency spending had to be up. Furniture had to be purchased. I just paid cash for a truck, so the truck had to be purchased. I could have easily sat back and said, well, I'm taking this 40, I'm about to trap. No, got responsibilities. You talking about having a shorty, Andre, right? Okay, Andre, you talk about having a shorty next year, you need a truck. So certain travels had to slow down. But those are some of the things, being a provider and protector, that we men should bring forth, no matter where we are, no matter what country we live in.
Man, good points, man. And to what you said earlier, if she did come and say, you know what, another job came across that's paying twice as much, I might just be like, go on here, baby, work. You could go, you could work it out. Because you're right, that could happen. That could definitely happen.
Yeah.
I want to answer one of these questions. So Harvey said, so are you saying that women in Colombia are just like women anywhere in the world? They simply just expect men to be a provider. Their expectations are just slightly less. You want to answer that?
Oh, yeah. Actually, what I'm saying is that if you lay the foundation that you are the provider, then you are expected by her and by yourself to be a provider. If you sit back and say, you know what, babe, I want you to slow down on the hours that you work. I need for you to help me out with this business. I need for you to help me. I give you a perfect example. Andre and I. Andrea had a lot more clients than she did prior to our marriage. Maybe a year into our marriage, Andrea slowed down on the amount of clients that she had because we began to travel as a couple. We began to build a brand and a business together. Also, I needed Andrea's help to get my visa, to get my driver's license, to take care of to get my cellular, my ID, to make sure a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't know about when it comes to living in Colombia. And I'm not fluent in Espanol, that I needed taken care of. So she was willing to sacrifice the amount of clients. Now she still has a lot of clients, but she was willing to sacrifice the amount. Therefore, I, as a provider, am willing as a husband to make up for the loss that this woman is giving by giving me her time to accomplish things that it would take me weeks or months to accomplish by myself, and she's been able to accomplish in hours. So at the end of the day, we definitely have to realize that there is a trade that takes place. Like if that person is willing to give up their job time, then you have to be willing to say, okay, I'll make up for that in economics, and not just a few trinkets here, but trinkets there. Andrea knows she could go to the mall. Andrea knows, she's like, let me grab. We got a business credit card. She has her credit cards and bank cards. I've got my credit cards and bank cards, but we have a central card for our central account. And we have in a particular place where she knows she can just grab that card, go pay for this, go pay for that, and it's good. It places it back in the central place, and when I need it, I grab it and so forth. So at the end of the day, we've laid a foundation of, if she steps away, then I have to step up. She stepped away for some of her clients. That means that impacted her economics. Then that means her husband, Andre, has to sit in his chair, build that brand, and I've got to step up. And in my mind, go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say it's a good point you made, because I'm not speaking for all four women, but at least your wife, for example, my fiance, sacrificing a lot. I know for a fact that, my fiance, she was able to come to the U.S. as an au pair on her own.
Mm-hmm.
She started her own, her own restaurant business with her and her sister. So she's a go-getter and self motivated. So I know that her being with me, and even she mentioned it, like some of her dreams she's had to sacrifice or put on hold or just abandon, and it's a fear for her, and maybe it was a fear for Andrea too. It was a fear for her that, I'm a person, I could get mad, and I could just say, you know what, I'm done with everything, and then she'll be asked out, and I've got to those points. I've got close to those points before, but that's the reason why, I don't want to get too off the subject, but that's the reason why feminists started in the United States back in the early, 20s to 70s, because men were leaving wives that gave up careers and everything, and then the wives don't have, they don't have nothing, and they just sacrifice their life. So that's that's how alimony and things come into that. So I recognize that we have to be, we can't be too hard on women. We have to understand their situation, especially if they sacrificed a lot. You know what I mean? So we have to, so they expect to be compensated for that, because they don't have the laws to protect them like the United States can protect them.
Absolutely correct. That's another thing that's a good point. There is no, if she gets pregnant, and then there is WIC, there is Medicare or Medicaid. There is no Section 8 here that will she get a $1,200 apartment for $35. There is none of that. Child support, yeah, they've got child support here in Colombia, but the average dude's economics is so small, she getting next to nothing if she can get a court date. So at the end of the day, when you know that you're dealing with a woman, once again, we're also talking internationally, when you're dealing with women from an international perspective, and you say you're going to step up, she's really walking by faith. Because at least in the States, if you mess up with a woman in the States, she got the government to fall back into. She can fall back into the arms of Uncle Sam, and Uncle Sam is going to tell her, baby, it's going to be all right. We're going to get him for child support. We're going to get him for alimony. You need some WIC. You need some Section 8. You need some food stamps. You need some stimulus money. I give you $300 per child for 6 months, and then you get a whole lump sum during the tax month in March and February. I got you. Uncle Sam is like, I got you, girl. Don't worry about it. If you're homeless, we got homeless shelters for just you or just you and your kids. Everything's protection for the woman in the United States. So if it doesn't work out, you don't step up, she good. I'm talking about women that may not have, maybe go through a situation that she can't find a job. I'm not saying women that have jobs are going through this. But my point is this, where women in these other countries put trust in you, there is nothing to fall back on except for, like you have in Andrea's case. That's why I never wanted my wife to completely let go of her clients and her career. She worked too hard to get that education. She riding her motorcycle through the rain. She sat back and studied all those hours just so I could come from America and tell her, you ain't got to work no more because I'm not secure. What? All those hours she put in, and I want to come along. I got enough money to make sure that you don't never. Sometimes the money is not the point. That person worked too hard long before you came along to get to where they are, and they aren't willing to throw it all away just because you come with your little American born, Andre.
Preach, brother, preach. Let's see if we could get through a couple of these comments before I move into the next question. So one of the questions, how much money is required to financially support an average Colombian woman's family?
I wouldn't know. I've never had to support my wife's family. All of them are successful. That was one of my prerequisites of picking a woman. Does the family own their property? Yes. On both sides of the family, mom and dad's side? Yes. Does everybody have a job? Everybody in the family's got a job except grandma. Grandma, the only one that don't get up in the morning and have a full-time. Check that off. Do anybody in the family own business land? Oh, and Andres, yes, check. Andres family. How many people are in Andres family and in long-term relationships? Mom and dad will celebrate their 30th anniversary this month. Her cousin just celebrated their 21st anniversary. They don't even look 21. Just finished their 21st anniversary last month. And everybody else has been together at least on average between 5 to 20 years in her family. Check. If you don't see all those things in the family, then it's something messing up. Because if you got to support a family, if you got to ask this question, Harvey, you shouldn't be with that woman. I repeat, if you have to ask the question about supporting a woman's family, you shouldn't be a part of that family because you don't take care of families. Remember, guys, we're going to other countries to alleviate pressures, not create pressures. So if you're finding yourself doing things in other countries that you would not do in the United States, taking care of your woman's family, don't come to another country accepting that. Do not tolerate that. Don't put up with that. I know every once in a while you may have to throw a few dollars in there because somebody need a few dollars. We do that at home in the family. So I got you on that one. Nothing wrong with throwing somebody a few dollars, or if somebody need a pair of shoes, and things like that, or Christmas gifts. I got you on that. But I'm talking about if you are taking care of that person's family, once you come in, they're looking at you like extra income. You are choosing the wrong family. But I love her. I believe so. So you got a choice. You need to talk to her and let her know, I'm not here to supply for your family. I'm here for us, babe. I'm here to lay the foundation for our family. Because if you are making the mistake of preparing, like Harvey's question, preparing to be with a Colombian woman who's the nicest, sweetest, hottest, sexiest, nastiest, funnest person you've ever been with, and yet you got to support that family, you need to let her tail go. Remember this, guys. I said this in the beginning. We are all replaceable. All of us. My wife can be replaced. I can be replaced. If I sit back and let's say I just go broke, everything is gone. NTFs, EFTs, all investments, the channels, the brands, the books, the sponsors, everybody's gone. I just said something stupid on YouTube. Don't nobody want to mess with me. I'm broke, right? If I don't show the initiative to myself and to my wife to actually pick myself up by my bootstraps, roll my sleeves up, and start from scratch, she should leave me. If I ain't got the balls to remake myself as a new man and say, you know what, that first business failed, but I know how to build business number 2. And if I don't show that side to my wife, she should pack her stuff and go home or get her own apartment. She shouldn't be with me. Get the rest of her clients back and continue to make her money. Because at the end of the day, these women are making major sacrifices to be with us. So be it with you guys. If you are with a woman and you are coming to a new country and you are bringing, or you know you're going to create new stresses that you would not tolerate when you were back in the States, do not tolerate it here. It's called having standards. Standards.
You preaching, brother. You preaching, brother. You right, man. I'm gonna respond to this as well. It says, does most Colombian women expect you to support their families? So you mentioned Colombia, but I will say every country is different when it comes to this question. You know, I've heard different things. Well, I would say that from Dominican culture, I've seen families a little bit more needy. Colombian culture, people are a little bit more prideful. I will say anywhere, if you're taking care of your woman, if you're sending her money, she's free to do what that money, whatever she wants to do. Whether her mom needs some groceries or her brother needs some help, you're not giving it to them, but she could be helping. She could help people out in her family. And I would say for the most part, she's right, because what a lady had to school me on before was, you know, when I came to meet you in another city, I had to borrow money for a taxi because you didn't send me the money. I had to pay a babysitter to watch my child. I had to get my nails done or hair done or whatever things I had to do. Oh, something I didn't do before. I didn't realize that a lot of the luggage they have to pay. Oh, you didn't send me money for luggage because I didn't know. I had to borrow the money last minute from my grandma and mama like that. So there's a lot of things that they do behind the scenes to probably come see your ass.
Yep.
And when you do send them money, they gotta help. They gotta kick back too. They gotta help out. You know, they may have to help out some people or pay back some loans that they borrowed, because in their mind is, when I see my boyfriend or my boy or my husband, they feel like he's gonna leave me with something before he leaves. So they're not even worried about it. They're like, don't have fun. And I know you got us, because you know they look at you as somebody that's gonna provide or take care of her while you're there.
Excellent analogy, excellent points. Everybody in all the families look out for each other the way that we used to, you know, in the 70s, in the 70s and in the 60s, when Black families looked out for each other at one point in time. Absolutely correct. Absolutely. But when you find yourself in a situation where you know that they're looking at you as with that when mom is looking at grandma, cousins, everybody looking at you with that almost zombie glow in their eyes, like, we're about to get paid. It's like, nah. One of the things that go ahead, brother. My bad.
No, I was gonna say, this is Dominican Republic, my experience. You know, you got, you know, there's one chick I know, her brother was hitting me, asking me for stuff, uncles. When men start asking for money, it's a cultural thing. You know, I don't want to stereotype a whole country, but I've seen more of families, begging or asking. You know what I mean? Outside of Colombia.
I've seen it. It's kind of funny. Go ahead.
No, I've heard some things about maybe like Philippines or something like that. You could be expected to take care of the family, but I could only speak of the countries I've been to. Go ahead.
Right, and there are a lot of countries that's like that. You know, I see Harvey has another question too. Yeah.
Let's see. Where are you more likely to find women in Colombia who won't need to be financially dependent on you? A chick with no kids. I'm gonna let you answer that.
I would say you will only find that you can find that person in any city. And I've been all over the country. I've been into the farm areas where the fincas, where they got the cows and the farms and the eggs, and they getting paid crazy and riding BMWs through the farmland. I've been in Barranquilla, Cartagena, Santa Marta, all the way to the small towns outside of Medellin, all the way to Manizales, Pareda, Armenia. I've been all over the country, guys. Chocó. So I could definitely tell you guys this. The type of woman that you're looking for is there. The mistake that you might make is if you're the type of guy that gravitates to a certain type of woman, and those type of women gravitate to you, once again, you're the common denominator no matter where you go in the world. I only mess with, think about it, guys. I mentioned this in this live stream earlier and others. If I've only messed with professional women and good women in the States, guess what the universe is going to give me? No matter where I live in the world, no matter where I go, I'll always attract women that got something going on about themselves. I don't have to question it. Broke chicks don't glance at me. In the States, Aisha in the hood wouldn't get, and I'm talking about when I was 15. I remember my first girl I ever asked out on a date. She said this. She said, Andre, she said, I like you, but she said, you're the type of guy that would take me to a nice restaurant. I'm just a Burger King girl. And I never forgot that. At 15, she said that to me. And it didn't break my heart. It let me know what type of women that I should be gravitating to. And so all the restaurant women, that really nice restaurant women, that's what I've gravitated to my whole life. I don't do and I don't attract the McDonald's and Burger King girls. Never have, never will. And so no matter what country you go to, the you will only attract. Remember what you said earlier, you are a reflection of, and she's a reflection of you. So if she's reflecting you and that person is a part of that, then you have to ask yourself, okay, what's going on with me? Not that person, not this city. So no matter what city I've gone to in Colombia, and even when I was thinking about going towards Brazil, the type of women that were attracted to me, I remember the first person that was attracted to me in Brazil, and we kind of like chopped it up for a while. She owned 3 Arabic restaurants. She was a horse breeder. She had won Miss Brazil twice. Yeah, she was doing it like that. She her family was, her ex-husband was a senator in Brazil. She her daughter was part of like Destiny's Child. And I'm looking all this, I'm Googling this. She said, well, my cousin, she said, my cousin is a famous Formula 1 driver, and he has a movie on Netflix. I went to Netflix, her cousin got a movie on Netflix. And so how is this? I only gravitate to the sister that I was hollering at in Brazil. She was in law school, and I'm talking about like she was just about graduating and get ready to go work on what they would consider the bar down there. Another sister that I messed with, she had built herself up in real estate. She had money. All I ever attract is women that have goals and desires. So you have to ask yours now. Remember what I said, it doesn't matter where you live, the common denominator is going to always be you. I can have 50 cents in my pocket and I can attract a chick that's making 100,000. Some guys have never dated a woman that made 100,000 at all, ever. They can't tell you what it's like to be with a woman that works on this side of the country and she's got to fly to this side of the country to spend time with you. They don't know anything about that. I've had women fly me to other parts of the world and I ain't pay a dime. What you doing, Andre? Nothing. I'm in Cebu, in the Philippines. I'm gonna fly you on out here. All right, cool. Andre, what you doing? Nothing. I'm in Arizona. I want to go to the Grand Canyon. I'm gonna fly you on out here. All right, bet. I don't know. So I can't lie to you guys and say I know about being with type of women that you guys have been with, because I only attract accomplishing women that wants to accomplish stuff. And some of you guys do too, but you just don't want to let them accomplish. I'm going to say that one more time. Some of you guys attract accomplishing women. You just don't let them accomplish. You try to dictate how and when they accomplish. Some of you guys have some good women in these other countries, just like I do. The difference between me and you, I'm not an interrupter. You are an interrupter.
That's fair. That is
There's
fair.
nothing special about me. Some of you guys attracts just as good as women, but y'all interrupted.
That's something to chew on, man. I'm gonna have to chew on that for, you know, I'm gonna have to chew on that. But I mean, that's real talk. I mean, that's a reality check. I would say that I'm guilty of wanting to dictate because it's a twofold thing, right? What you're saying is nothing you're saying is wrong. Kevin Samuels would say, and I'll align with some of the things he said. Kevin Samuels would say, well, men, when he says men, he speaks for what he feels like the masses. The masses of men wants a woman that they can provide for, because a woman that's too busy does not have time to be submissive, cooperative, nurturing, you know, being able to take care of kids. And a lot of times women that work too hard, they take on that masculine frame. And so that's why you see more women that's more masculine, that's less submissive. And so myself, and I'm pretty sure other guys, you know, dating out the country or being with somebody out the country is cheaper on our wallet, but it's also, it makes us feel needed and wanted, because that's what a lot of, I would say, people that follow Kevin Samuels, he tell the women, like, men want to feel like they're needed. Like, if you don't need a man for anything, the purpose of a man is gone, because the purpose of a man is to be on his purpose, provide for a woman that he's with and his children. So if he doesn't have that purpose, he cannot fulfill his true manhood. So I hear what you're saying as far as not want to be an interrupter and not interfering with a woman's potential, you know, a woman's potential, but at the same time, I'm responsible for the outcome of a relationship, not Andre, not somebody else. So at the end of the day, the decisions, I'm the CEO of our business. And I know, using statistics, I know that a woman is more likely to cheat in this situation. A woman is more likely to divorce in this situation, or whatever the case may be. So I don't see a problem with protecting your marriage. And I'm gonna use this one example. I'm gonna let you speak. You know, I have a, you know, my brother, for example, he shields his, I mean, he shields his family, his kids from the rest of the family. And I used to think negative. I used to think bad about him, because it's like, you know, why I gotta be like that? But I have to realize he's doing what he thinks is in the best interest of his family at the end of the day.
That's right.
Regardless of what I think. And he's been married for all these years. So whatever he had to do to keep his marriage intact, that's what he had to do.
Correct. He's absolutely correct. And I have met your brother, and you haven't even broken down the scenario, but just the basics, you know, that's absolutely correct. We always have to do what's best for our scenario. And none of us want to be cookie cutters of somebody else's scenario. You know, it may work for them, but then may not work for us. What may work for us, so everybody's situation is different. So I agree with you in regard to your brother as well. But you said that you have to, one of the things that we have to do as men and be protectors and providers. I mentioned that earlier. But the question is, from what? Remember that statement I just made. We are protectors and we are providers, but we're protecting from what? See, what your from what is different from my from what? Because I've heard you use the term, that person may cheat. I don't have to protect from that from what? You said that you don't want that person to be in careers to get hit on. I don't have to worry about from what. That's not my from what. See, I'm protecting my wife from situations that may cause her to, let's say Andrea's out there and she needs for me to teach her how to drive automatic because she's been driving a manual her whole life. Now I'm protecting her by teaching her how to drive. I'm protecting her by teaching her that, babe, if we go through drills here in this house. If I pass on tonight, how do you get into this account? How do you get into that account? How do you get to that money? She knows where to get to the insurance or get me to the hospital. She knows all that. But I'm not about to sit back and leave my wife. And I know I got money over here in Bitcoin I ain't told her about. What? I got money over here I ain't told her about. Now, every man has his own little personal stash. But there is monies that I know that if I pass on, I don't want that Bitcoin to sit back and 3 years is worth, each coin is worth 100,000 a piece and she can't get to it. So we have drills. That's part of me protecting her even when I'm gone. Making sure that I have life insurance. That's protecting her. Making sure that I'm successful in business. So she has a roof, I have a roof. We have goals. That's protecting her. So my what, or as I wrote down, from what, may be completely different from your protection from what. I'm not, if you notice in my conversation now, one time have I talked about her with cheating. It could happen. I don't have the energy and the time to worry about that. I haven't talked about dudes hitting on her. I got a beautiful wife. I ain't got no time to protect from that. When it comes to control, or like you said, consider your thoughts or your feelings, I have no time to worry about if she's considering my thoughts 24 hours a day and consider my control 24 hours a day. I have no time for that. My protection from what, or my from what, is completely different from the descriptions of what your definition of protection from what is. So you got to ask yourself, am I ready as a future husband to have to focus on the from what's that I've been talking to Andrea about for the next 30, 40 years? Am I really going to sit back and worry for 40 years about who hit on my wife, who didn't hit on my wife? Is she cheating? Is she not cheating? Are you really going to do that from what? Protecting her from what for the next 40 years? You have to ask yourself that.
So fair questions. So social media, I would say most Black men that's going through a divorce, they will say social media played a part in whether it made their woman feel like at 40 or late 30s, make it feel like they got a second life. You know, girls, you know, having access to more men, whether it's guys from high school, college, the block, whatever. Statistics, you know, Kevin Samuels, other big people, everybody agrees that social media plays a big part in today's dating and marriage culture in the United States. I'll take it a step further to say you got countries like, and this is an extreme example, but you got countries like Cuba, North Korea, China, restricting certain things on television, social media, because they know how they see the United States, you know. Right, so right. Those are dictator-like approaches.
Environment, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And some men are dictatorish. You know, maybe I could be that way. Some men are not. I'm not saying, I'm not going to say a democracy is better than a dictatorship. I'm not going to say a dictatorship is better than a democracy. So, like you said, so I guess using that analogy, those countries protecting their citizens from social engineering or influence or negative influence, is that bad?
It, to a certain extent, we as humans, it's like you said earlier, it's a two-edged sword when it comes to social media. Social media has caused individuals like you and I to be able to reach out to your audience, and cause us, you and I, to reach out and get to know each other. We would have never met each other if it wasn't for the format of social media. And if it had been regulated, like in certain countries, you and I wouldn't even be free enough to be able to share the knowledge and experiences that we have. So it's that side of the sword. But yet, like you said, it's an overboard side where Individuals either get addicted to social media, or you got the women on Instagram that do it for attention. They're hooked on the attention. They buy outfits for the attention. They love what dudes put in the DM, because women love, no matter what country, even that woman in there, they love attention. They may not cheat, but they still like the fact that it's a dude that's looking at that behind when they walking by. Every woman, men do. I love the fact that when I leave the gym, the chicks checking out. I ain't stupid. So no matter who it is, we all to a certain extent like attention. But when you live in certain countries, that attention is maybe limited. I give you a perfect example. I agree with you with the social media. I never posted. Now, most guys don't know this story. I never posted a picture of me on Facebook until I met Andrea. And I was married in the States 14 years. No pictures of my wife. I was just like you. I saw the destructive behavior of social media, and I was like, and all my boys were like, man, you ain't got no. Now, the only pictures that was posted, maybe by her, or, like we go out an event and our friends post a group picture. But as for Andre, I only had Facebook just in case of family emergencies, and somebody had to say, Andre, you need to fly back to Detroit because of. I never posted a photo. The ironic part is, or the irony is, Andrea never posted a photo with anybody ever on her Facebook, on any social media. We actually did it together the first time. I posted a photo of her and I together. She posted, literally, we both looked at each other and went click with the fingers shaking. It went click and shot the photo out into her social media, into my social media, first time ever. Now, mind you, at that time, I'm 50. She's 23, right? And so at the end of the day, we introduced each other to social media. If you go to Andrea Wallace TV or Andrea Wallace Instagram, you would see some of the most beautiful photos you've ever seen. I've taken those photos. She's an excellent editor. And so now those photos, a lot of people say, God, she's stupid. She just went like, yep. So a lot of those photos one guy said, man, you need to turn some of those photos into NFTs that could go into postcards and things like that. Those are some amazing photos that you've taken. So my wife has no seductive, ooh, look at me, blah, blah, blah photos on there. She's got one beach photo, one out of and I took that one out of 300 photo shoots that we've done. I love photography. She loves fashion and modeling. So that's what we do. My point is that you're absolutely correct. There is a demonstrative side of social media. But then once again, it comes back to you as the man. Who are you choosing to let into your life? Because if the person that you're letting into your life is a person you can't trust with social media, with their social media behavior, the question once again is, why are you allowing this person to be in your life? I tell a lot of dudes, don't leave the States and enter into a relationship in another country if you're not willing to actually go for what you deserve and what you need in your life. We sugarcoated, we compromised, we pretended we didn't see what we were seeing. We swept under the rug all those years in the United States. When you decide to go to another country, you're not sweeping anything else under the rug. It's your standards. It's what you really want. And if that person does not make you feel comfortable with your standards and what you really want and deserve at this stage in life, let that person go. Let them find their blessing and you find your real blessing. But if you are not willing to let that person go, then you are the one that's going to pay the repercussions for your decision for letting a person into your life that can only give you 50 or 70% of what you actually need in your life. Don't sugarcoat your life outside the States. You did that enough in the United States. Men did that, women did that. I tell women the same thing. When you leave the States, all that mess that you put up with men in the United States, you ain't got to put up with that mess when you're using your passport. Do not tolerate BS from men outside the United States, or take your butt right back and don't come back outside the United States until you grow up.
No, that's real advice, man. That's real advice. guys that haven't started dating or thinking about it, that's the best advice I would say somebody could give you. You don't have to tolerate it. If you see a red flag or you see signs, get out of it. You know, I've been in a few relationships before my current situation,
Mm-hmm.
and when I felt like I was in the matrix or dealing with the matrix, I got those like spidey sense. I got that feeling like this just don't feel good, and I got out. I got out those situations because you know the difference between dating a woman in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
and a foreign woman for the most part is you can find somebody much easier and faster than you would in the US. You know, I would say the downtime, the hurt time, your heartbroken, whatever you want to call it, that time is less. You can rebound a trip to Sosua. I know a lot of guys that's recently divorced or when they was divorced, they was down and they took their first trip somewhere. You'd be
Mm-hmm.
amazed how that healed them and got them to bounce back real quick.
Right,
So yeah,
right.
man. So man, you definitely spend some gems, man. I got a lot more. I got a lot more questions, man, because
Come on, brother.
it's about to get deep. It's about to get deep.
You know I'm
And
transparent.
I'm fellas, I'm gonna catch up with the questions in the chat, but I want to get some of these. I want to get some of my questions out. So we're gonna break down, and I don't know your experience, but we're gonna break down the needs of women with kids and without kids, with a
I
foreign
was a
woman.
stepdad for 14 years, so I'm with you.
So I've dated in both situations. Somebody asked a question earlier about, what type of women, won't need you financially. And I kind of mentioned that a woman without kids. So I'm gonna kind of give my experience, and then brother, you could chime in. So
Okay.
here's the thing. I've I feel like I'm a guru when it comes to just women. Like I've dated lots of women in the US. I've lived in different cities. You know what I mean? So I grasp American culture and just the female, just the female dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started to get to know women in other countries, because I want to know women in other countries how I know women in the US, I started with dating sites, the major dating sites like Tinder, Dominican Cupid, Colombian Cupid, Latin American Cupid, Brazilian Cupid.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's some smaller sites too. Meeting women in person, hitting women up on Instagram. Like I spent hours just shooting at women, day in, day out over the years. And so what I noticed was that the majority of women that was available to me that seemed a little bit more uh, open was women with kids, the fine ones, because it's like every time I used to filter my search and search for women without kids, you kind of realize that they got the most options. They getting hit by the most dudes. The likelihood of you linking with her or getting a number or her responding is like slim to none. But usually when I hit a baddie up, her profile, she may not put that she got kids, but when you message her, she might say, "Oh, I got a kid." So most of the time, the fine ones had kids, you know,
I can say
and
that. Yeah.
and the fact that the ones without kids didn't hit you up as much is because they don't really need you. You know what I mean? Usually, what I've noticed was that women with kids become more humble, become more open, and so now they're making herself available. Whereas if she didn't have a child, she probably wouldn't give you the time of day. So I would say that, and this is anywhere in the world, a woman with kids is gonna be more needy than a woman without kids.
Oh, of
So
course.
so in Colombia, it doesn't matter what city, for the most part. Medellin is a
Mm-hmm.
little is known for women just gold diggers. Even Colombia said it, but for the most part, outside of the major cities, it don't really matter what region they from. You know, Is
Right.
one, does she have kids or don't have kids? You know, that's kind of my best. If that's kind of my best gauge. Um, Women with jobs, women with jobs never asked me for anything international or needed anything. So that's another thing. They just expected me to pay for, their transportation. If I'm in town, I'm not
Right.
gonna let them spend their money on taxi, especially when they may catch the bus usually. So I'll pay for transportation and whatever we're doing when we're out. Um, you know, and then with a woman with kids is doing those things, but then they they're not gonna ask for help with their kids, but they expect you to know that they need help. So whereas a woman
Right.
without kids, when you're leaving, when you're going home and she's she's saying goodbye to you at the airport, a woman without kids, she's not really thinking about you sliding her some dollars, you know what I mean, or the money you got left over for your trip. But a woman with kids, she's kind of hoping that you know what I mean, you know, hit her hand with something, you know. So what are your thoughts about the needs of women with kids versus without kids?
I've actually dated, and of course, Andre doesn't have any children. I don't have any children, biological. I was a stepdad for all those years. Great kids, great ex-wife. We ended our marriage. It's still cool. But when it comes to here, I've dated mostly women that didn't have children, and I dated maybe a couple that had children. You're right, the ones that had children had more needs, and that's just obvious. No matter where you go in the world, like you were saying. But what I did find in regards to your monies, both women had expectations, but different expectations regarding your money. Uh, One might want to see what you would do with your money initially. Another other that's the one with children. She wants to see if you're going to give her a few dollars initially. When you leave, or you see that she needs a babysitter before you guys hang out. Are you going to help foot the bill for that? Or that she may need some money to get the kids something to eat that night before you get to hang out initially. But then the one without children may be seeing what you would do futuristically. One
Mm,
is initially, the other one is futuristically. The one that may have the job maybe want to see what type of man or provider you will be in the future. For example, Andrea has no children, but she still expects me to step up as the man to make sure that this is taken care of, that is taken care of, even though economically she was already independent anyway. She expects me to step up as a man. Remember, in Colombia, gender roles are extremely strong here. It's not like in the States where you got 10 different genders and you don't know what to call who anymore. In Colombians, in most of South America, as you well know, they expect a man to be a man. If you want to dance, you walk up to her. If you want intimacy, you approach her. If you want to get a phone number, no matter how she's batting her eyes at you, you are expected to be the man. So it is with your economics. So therefore, when it comes to you can be in Norway, you can be in France, you can be in Japan, and you can be in South America. And what's going to end up happening is one is going to expect it initially. That's the baby mother. No matter where you live in the world, you in the States, she's going to be looking at you like, okay, if I got to pay for a babysitter to come see you, then maybe you want to throw a few dollars to help on this babysitter if you want me to spend time with you. So it is in South America. But then the other one may be looking for the independent one, or the one that doesn't have any children. She's still looking at you for the economics, but it may be futuristically. It may be for bigger things like, okay, now we're moving in together. Can you help foot the bill in this house? Can you help pay for the food? Can you make sure we got car insurance, or can you keep the lights on? She's looking for the futuristic big picture. So no matter what woman you're with, no matter what city it is, they there is an air of expectation. I just read because I'm always doing research on stateside versus other countries, especially when it comes to women. I just read an article today on sex and economics, and the article was saying that one of the ways that you will one of the ways you'll find the sex life and the marriage is falling off is if the dude is not bringing in enough money to help sustain the family. And the family could just be you and her. And if you aren't a dude that's bringing in the money that's needed, the sex dries up. She does not see they just saying statistically, women are saying this. Not that they're trying to be gold diggers, but they don't see you as the man that you should be. Remember, we're two parts in a relationship as a man: protector and provider. And you can't take one away. Well, I protect you from this, but you can't provide. The coochie's gonna dry up.
Let me say this before I forget. So, fellas, keep this in mind. I don't know, some of you guys may not have children, but this is something that I had to learn being a young father. I was a father at 19, and I was a long distance dad. And so since I wasn't around my son to see what he needed, it was hard to, I used to get into I used to have conflict with my baby mama. She was frustrated because maybe I wasn't doing enough outside of child support. But part of it was because I just can't see what he needs. Like my mom used to do things. She'll send like my son like a care package. She'll send like underwear, whatever, socks, a care package. And I used to think like, I never really grasped like, how would she know to send something like that? Like, I'm pretty sure he has underwear and socks and things like that. But until by you not living there, you don't know what they need. You don't know what their fingernails look like. You don't know how they eating. You don't know if they gotta borrow money from friends or family. It's a lot you don't know because you don't live there. And so, and that's the same thing if you're a dad and you in a situation where your child lives in another city or another state, you could kind of understand what the needs of another woman, a foreign woman has. But if you've never been in that situation, you might not automatically understand. So, you have to be mindful that, there are needs that you may not be able to see because you don't live there. But when you visit, you pick up on things. You're like, damn, man, my baby, she been rocking the same shoes for the 3 months, man. Let me get her some shoes, or, let me upgrade her purse or something like that, because you can see it when you're there. So I just kind of wanted to throw that point out there.
Excellent point. An excellent analogy, of stories, comparing the family in the States to, your future family outside the States. Absolutely correct. So I'll see what Munchie's saying. He said that the last comment. You want to pull that up?
Let's see. They all need financial support overseas. My experience was Colombian women is that they will ask for money. They expect it, no exceptions.
And the only thing that I disagree with that statement is when he put in overseas. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. You're expected to be a man in the States. You're expected to be a man outside the States. One thing that I can sit back and I can easily say that has been a minus, especially for us in the Black community: government assistance. Government assistance hurt our women because it gave them something to lean on just in case everything falls apart. And at the same time, we men subconsciously say, well, they got something to lean back on, so they don't really need me like that anyway. So they got the government. So we have a tendency of subconsciously falling back and not stepping up, just like you're saying. Mom had to do the care package when you could have just said, does my daughter need anything, or my son needs anything, for example. So at the end of the day, we have to realize, once you cross the border of the United States, you are expected to be a traditional man. Most countries are completely different from what the US is. Go to India, you're expected to be a man there. And I mean man, provider man. Go to France, still expected to be a provider man. Greece, you're still expected to be provider man. South America, we all know you're still expected to be a provider man, even if you only make $250 to $450 a month. Go ahead, talk about Japan. You're still expected to be a provider man. What country other than the United States and UK, or maybe a little bit of Canada, that teaches us that you don't necessarily, it's 50-50. You don't necessarily have to pay it all. Only the UK, United States, and Canada. No other country in the world tells you you are not expected to be the man and pay the bills. If mom chips in, if your girl chips in, cool. But in most cases, you're expected to go out there, hunt the giraffe, bring the giraffe home, hunt the fish, bring the fish home, hunt the whatever it is, and bring it home. And whether it be in corporate America, in many of those European countries, just like South America, you're expected to go out there, bust your tail, bring that money back home for the family. Only in the United States, we talk that 50-50. Only in the States. Only. You're expected even though in South America, families do pay together, and mom brings her money and dad brings their money, and they pull it together for the family. But at the end of the day, if mom quits her job in South America today to raise the kids, you are expected to be a provider. And that's no matter where you go in the world. That's the only thing that I would have to say that's different, that I would say from what he was saying. That's the only difference. No matter where you are, you should expect. And me personally, I expected of myself. Long before I met Andrea, I knew there would be an Andrea. I put in my own mind that I'm going to make enough income for a family, and everything else will be for long-term investments. Dudes sit back and make the mistake of, well, it's only me right now, so I'm gonna just make enough money for me, and I put a little bit of money, and no. In the future, it will not just be you if you want a good long-term relationship. So therefore, start the process right now in your mind of saying, if it takes $5,000 a month in South America to take care of a family, it's time for you to start grinding to make $5,000 a month long before that family comes along. Because I'm grinding to make that. I'm grinding to get to the point where I'm making $15 a month. Then I'm comfortable. I can sit back with the relaxation. But if I ain't seeing $15 a month for 5 years straight, that means that I've built a foundation where their company is going 15, 20, 21, 31 a month. I'm going to continue to grind, because I know that it doesn't take in most countries to take care of take care of a person for $5,000 each, unless you live in California, and it still doesn't take that much. My point is, I've mentally told myself I'm worth the least for Andre $5,000 a month if I'm by myself. Now with Andrea, $10,000 a month. My first shorty, $15,000 a month. Next shorty, $15,000 a month. I mean, another $5,000. So that's $20 a month. In here, I put that amount of money, and we already know in the universe, like attracts like. And if you are a person that's like that, you put it in there, all of a sudden the business moves, the goals, the opportunities, the networking, to be with those type of people that think like that and move like that. All of a sudden that type of money comes your way, and people are looking at you like, how'd you succeed so fast? How'd you do that? Because I started in here before I came to Colombia. I'd already put $5,000 must be made each month for each person that's in my life, starting with me. So when a person asks me, how much does it cost to live in Colombia? $5,000. If you ain't coming with $5,000 mentality, you can't talk to me.
Man, don't scare my brothers, man. Don't scare my brothers, man.
Because what brothers want to do is, I'm telling you something, because our brothers want to do the same thing that we're doing in the States, live in scarcity. I like what one person said, Tony Robbins, the motivational speaker. Tony Robbins said this: most people treat life like it's a hobby, not a habit. You treat it like it's a puzzle that you treat it like you're just having fun with Monopoly or playing marbles or playing football. It's just a game. It's not real. I got another life in the drawer in the back of my closet in my Jordan box. Boy, I'm gonna play with this life, but boy, the next life, I'm gonna be the man in my next life. No, you got one life, one chance, one time. That's it. So if you're not coming to
brother, lost you for a second.
Colombia, I think I froze for a second. I'm gonna live in Portugal. I think I froze for a second.
You good now?
Let me wait till I unfreeze. I might still be frozen. Okay, I'm okay. I'm officially unfrozen. Okay. If I can't think while I'm in Colombia with the 5,000 per person mentality, how am I live in France? I'm gonna live in New Zealand. Wait a minute. How am I live if we want to go to California? What about when we want to go to 6 months in Canada? I can't live with Colombian mindset. Talk about, well, Colombians only make $400 a month, so therefore, if I bring my $1,500, I'm good. No, you good for Colombia, so now you can't go nowhere because you got a $1,500 a month mindset. So how take my wife and my kids to Greece with my little $1,500 a month mindset? You know, Greece, the euro is looking at me like, what? Are you serious? With them little American dollars? I gotta have a $5,000 a month mindset. I gotta keep coming up with ways to where my 5,000, her 5,000, the shorty's 5,000, the next shorty's 5,000. I'm always thinking like that. And everything else is the extra as far as other investments for the long term. So long after I'm gone, they ain't got to be over here struggling just because I died. They don't have to sit back and pinch pennies to put together a funeral just because I died. Because I've been with family members where we all had to pool money together to make sure that this certain family member who didn't get life insurance, we had to pool that money together, make sure that our loved one got buried. I'm not about to put my family through that. So before the kids get here, 5,000 for that child per month, 5,000 for that child per month for at least 21 years. That's where I want to get my money to. And nothing's going to stop me. And so while y'all sitting back, babysitting, talking about, I'm moving to Colombia and I only got to pay this much a month. Go ahead. Just don't ask Andre's advice on how much it costs to live in Colombia, because I'm going to tell you, 5,000. And if you ain't got a $5,000 mindset, keep your broke ass at home. That's what you need to do.
Respect. Now, I'm going to answer that a little differently. You know what I mean? But if you want to live in, I'll put like, if you want to live like a Colombian, you can. You have that right if you want to live like a Colombian. To his point, if you create a situation where you have a fixed income to be able to live a modest life in Colombia, just like the average Colombian can't buy a flight nowhere else, you can't afford to come home like that either. You know,
that's true.
So 1,500, I think with the retirement visa, I think it's like about $2,000 a month. If you can be a resident in Colombia making $2,000.
It's 8 now. It's
8
for the retirement. Yeah, 800 a month.
Oh, 800 a month. Right. It is.
Yeah. I got a guy that's down here right now, and a good friend of mine, Andre's helping him with his visa, and we just so happen to be researching this over the last couple of days.
You're right. It's 3 times the minimum wage.
Right. 3 times minimum wage. That's right.
So yeah, you're right. My bad. It's not 2,000, but there's other countries that kind of adopt that kind of.
Correct. Right.
So even if you can show, and to retire doesn't mean like you're at retirement age. It just means that you have income in the United States where you can show you making at least let's say $750 a month or whatever. So yes, you can live off of that. So I don't think Andre is saying you can't live off
Right,
of
correct. Yeah. Oh
modest
yeah.
income. But what he's saying is that we should have an abundance mindset, not a cap. You know, as men, we should, because women are paying attention to us too. And a woman may say,
Right.
well, yeah, he's moving to Colombia. He's making more money than he's bringing in more money than an average Colombian. But they want more out of life too. You
Mm-hmm.
know, even if
Mm-hmm.
you are able to provide a little bit more. So I so my angle is telling guys this: if you can afford, if you have residual income to be able to live in Colombia, to be able to take care of the bare minimum, you know, which is, like I said, minimum wage is about 300 a month for the average woman. You can get a visa making, $750 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Some cities you could get an apartment $250 a month. You can live a modest life, have a beautiful, attractive woman that's down for you because you're living there, you know. So the conversation, if you've been watching this conversation since the beginning, what you will see is that you have two different type of men, two different type of maybe philosophy strategies, which can work for depending on the type of person you are. So I don't want nobody to feel
Good
like
point.
they can't. If I don't have this, it's not worth it. I don't want nobody to feel like if I have a controlling nature, something wrong with me. You know, what I mean, everybody is different. What we want to do
Correct.
is that let brothers check us in ways where we may need to be checked or corrected. You know what I mean? Like, I don't take no offense if a brother respectfully checks me on something that I may be off base on or maybe looking at it. And if I strongly believe in my position, then I'm just gonna say, hey, like this is how I see it because of these reasons. So, you know what I mean? So it's definitely is Colombia is an affordable place, but I
Oh
will
yeah.
say that every woman is different what their expectations is, where they came from, if they got college education, type of family they come from, they got kids, if they don't have kids, how attractive they are, because they know their value in them. They know their value. They know what they can get.
Mm-hmm.
So at the basic level, let's get into this. At the basic level, what do you have left over after you pay your bills? You know what I
Right.
mean? Because without knowing that, you can't even think about anything. If you don't have money left over after you paying your bills or you taking your trips, and if you can't really travel, I would say, and I'm giving y'all this, like if you can't travel every 3 months, and that's pushing it for any chick that's further than DR or Colombia. Like 3 months is an eternity for most of these chicks in other countries. You know what I mean? So if you can't travel, and like I said, 3 months is pushing it. You know, 2 months is reasonable. You know what I mean? And you got to have money outside of that. I put in a Facebook group. I threw out a number. I said if you're making 60,000 or more, you probably can. At the lower end, you probably can afford to date internationally. But that's going to be depending on the city and things of that nature. What's your thoughts, brother?
Right. I agree with that completely because every city in Colombia is different. It's 5 states instead of 50. And so every region will be different in regards to economics. There are people that leave Cartagena because, it's too expensive to live in and too hot. I'm
Yes.
talking about the locals.
Yes.
Some people leave Medellin because it's too many tourists. That was me. It was just too many tourists for me. I ain't trying to see y'all face every day. I love y'all brothers, but I ain't trying to see you every day. Cartagena, some people go to don't want to be in Bogota because it's too chilly or too cold. Some people, don't want to be in Cali because they're like, hey, it's not enough action until you get here. You find out there's more action in most cities. But
Right.
my point is just like what you were saying. There is no right or wrong answer based off of anything that we've said today. Is just what works best for you. And that goes back to what we said. Don't be a cookie cutter of what other men have done or what other families have done. Find out what works best for you and begin to implement it. And that's what my point is. And with me, my mindset is if I got a passport and I left the country, I'm gonna become the best Andre that has ever existed. I'm going to become the Andre that did not exist in the United States. The Andre in the United States was not a faithful man. Let's be honest. I'm gonna break it down for you. Y'all want to know the Andre? Andre in the United States was smashing everything moving. I ain't cheated on no cheating here. Because before I moved from the United States, I decided for 3 years prior to moving here to become a new person. The Andre United States was not economically responsible, even though I'm making great money, but I'm buying this, going here, flying here, doing this, doing that. Remember, I'm with the baller chicks. I'm with the chicks that got money. So even though they flying me out, I'm still making sure that I pay for the meal in Philippines and making sure that I'm paying for the meal while we're in California. I'm making sure, even though they're paying for everything else. So I was economically irresponsible for a long time until I began to sit down and say, Andre, it's time for you to become economically responsible before you go to another country. I started businesses. I didn't follow through. I wasn't responsible as much as I could have been with the business that could have grown. Those 3 years, once again, before I moved to Colombia, I said, you know what? It's time for me to start taking the responsibility of being faithful to just one business and stop chasing the shiny things. And that was my problem. I was chasing, ooh, look at that business. Ooh, look at that business. So stop chasing the shiny things. And because I made changes while I was in the States, they carried on into Colombia. It's easy for me to be faithful here in Colombia because I learned to do it while I was at home. It was easy to be financially responsible here in Colombia because I learned to do it at home. So a lot of us may not be the best versions of who we are right now. There's nothing wrong with that. I just told you my story. But at the end of the day, do not come to another country and you are still the worst version of yourself. That's what my point is. So when I say I have the 5,000 per month mindset, I had to learn that in the States because for years I wasn't thinking like that.
Did you?
And the day will come where I'm 10,000. Go ahead.
Did you own property in the U.S.?
Yeah, I still own property in the U.S. Yeah.
Okay, because I don't want what I'm about to say to be. So this is what I've noticed, and an OG that passed a year ago. You know what I mean? He mentored a lot of brothers. And what he used to always preach to us was that if you want to live overseas, buy property, have some property in the U.S. He didn't want to talk to you. He didn't want to talk about making business moves because we used to talk about. We had a group called Level Up. We used to talk about business ventures, real estate ventures. To even be in a discussion, you have to own property.
Mm-hmm.
And I was mad because at the time I didn't own property, but I wanted to be in these discussions because I'm knowledgeable about finance. It's just like when I was younger and guys used to talk about what they want to do with their cars. And I used to want to be in that conversation, but I ain't had no whip. So they didn't want to hear what I had to say.
Right.
So being around that, it pushed me to say, you know what, I want to live overseas. I know what it's going to take to live overseas. I need some type of residual income. I'm going to need to own some real estate in the United States. And so what I'm going to say is, and this is, I would say 90% of the men I know that live overseas, regardless if they're military, retired or not, 90% of the guys I know live overseas own or have owned property in the United States. You know what I mean?
I
Whether
agree
it's a
with that
single
100%.
family home, multi-family home, because owning property shows, to get a loan from a bank requires, that's getting my house was harder than getting my bachelor's and master's degree. It was the hardest thing. It was just as hard as me getting my college degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Buying a home, the level of stress, the requirements, the discipline, the bank statements they go through. It's so much money to give you a multi-$100,000 loan. To be able to manage finances to make enough money, not only to take care of your bills here, but another country, those qualities lies in men that own real estate.
True.
You know, so if you want, I'm gonna just say this: if you want to live overseas, and this, I would say this is for 90% of men I know. If you want to live overseas, a good gauge to know if you're able to do it if you own real estate or if you can't own real estate. And I
That's a good point.
encourage you guys to buy property. I don't care if you're thinking about leaving the United States in 2 years. If you could buy a property now, buy it. What's your thoughts, brother?
I agree with 100% because once again, you subconsciously begin to build certain disciplines and confidence as you're going through that journey. Certain disciplines of economic disciplines, the discipline to learn to read through contracts, even though you have an attorney to do that. The discipline of, okay, I have an appointment with the person who's going to do the audit. Okay, now you're learning to discipline with your time, be wiser with your time. When it comes to the time to celebrate, once you finally get those keys and it's officially yours, there's a time to celebrate instead of pre-celebrating, because something can happen to move the closing date. So all these things considering are the same type of emotions, the moves, the disciplines, the mindset that it takes to live in another country, whether you're going to be in a relationship or not. Those same disciplines, absolutely correct, they take for an individual such as myself and others to be able to live outside the United States and not have to go back, because it will amaze you the percentage of people that have to go back because economically they assume that because the cost of living in South America was so-called inexpensive, and they just start taking money and just they treated themselves like they were still tourists, and the money ran out and they had to run back to the United States and never made it back out to the United States again. Never made it back out.
I had a guy tell me he had like $20,000 of credit card debt, man, traveling. I'm like, what? Why? Why? Yeah, man.
Things he could have done with that money.
So I'm gonna do like a rapid going through some of these chat questions,
okay.
And then I have a final question for you, man, which is gonna be real deep. So I'm gonna go through some of these real quick. I'm gonna try to answer as quick as possibly. Can you find a lot of professional Afro-Colombian women?
Depends on we use the word a lot. Depends on the city, correct, and it depends on the environment. Like it will amaze you once you really know Spanish. I hear the guys in the comment section talk about language. As I began to get a better grip on Spanish, the demographics open up too. It's not even just the language, it's the demographics of the type of people that I'm used to being around. For example, in the States, I was the president for our chapter of Toastmasters for public speaking. I actually, right before I moved to Colombia, I actually won the citywide competition. It was in the statewide competition on my way to nationals for giving a speech with Toastmasters. Well, they have Toastmasters here in Colombia. So I'm like, okay, cool. I could be part of my speech team. Oh, snap. I don't know Spanish. So a lot of learning a new language is not just about the language, but it opens up a demographic of people that you'll get a chance to be around that you normally aren't around. You play poker in the States, and you're around some money makers in the States, or you smoke cigars in the States, and you're around some money makers that smoke cigars. But you can't converse with people in your new country because you don't know Portuguese in Brazil. So you're limited with your demographics. But as you learn a language, all of a sudden you get a chance to meet these professional Afro-Colombians that you didn't even know exist, that were driving past you in vehicles that look just as good as the one that you have. So I would personally say it's not about whether they are or whether they aren't. But if you don't know the language, no use to even assuming or asking if they exist or not, because language will open up demographics for you that you can't get with the limited amount of Spanish that you know. And I'm learning that. I want to get back into playing golf. I want to get back into tennis. But guess what? I want to be around some dudes that I'm really loud. I want to get back truly into playing pool like I used to. So, but I want to sit back and be able to laugh and crack jokes and drink rum with the guys too. But the only way that'll open up the way that I want it to open up, and I'm used to it being open, whether it be bowling. They bowl here in Colombia. But at the end of the day, you are limited. Your demographics is limited to the amount of the language you know.
Great answer. Great answer. Another question. Any advice for brothers who seem to attract broke women?
You have to ask yourself, why have you always inside the States or outside the States attract broke women? Are you a broke-minded man, even though you have money? Do you have confidence in yourself outside them? I know some guys that make 90,000, 120,000, but I know one who make 200,000, but he broke up here, broke as can be. If a woman doesn't, like you were saying, we as men like to feel needed and respected. And so sometimes guys gravitate to women that ain't got nothing, because when they give to them, that initial high of feeling needed and respected is there. But remember, I said appreciation turns into expectation overnight. So you may feel that initial high, but after a while, it's going to become expectations, and that high of respect and appreciation will disappear.
I mean, I answer this. Are women in Colombia open to the idea of polygamy? No. From my experience, no.
Yeah,
they are not.
I mean, they do.
Share.
You might find some, but once again, it'll 9 times out of 10 be a bottom feeder. It'll be somebody that ain't got no money. Both chicks ain't got a dime, and both of them will probably rob you. They'll be in cahoots because your Spanish limited, so they'll be in cahoots and they'll sit back and they'll get you. But there are guys that I do know of, older guys that have their retirement money. They've got 2 or 3 girls that they take with them everywhere that they go, but realize the chicks that they take are beautiful and gorgeous and ain't got nothing else going on.
Yeah, facts. Colombianas are jealous, just like other Latinas, very jealous. From my experience, that is true.
Yeah.
That is true. That makes them more feminine, though. They're not afraid to show their emotion, that type of emotion, versus here. Let's see. What is this? Yeah. What's Crotham Brothers? Everywhere looking for polygamy. Okay, I'm catching up, y'all.
Take your time.
Prime example is guys who go to Sosúa or Medellin to deal with street girls and want to wife them and think they will change. Foolishness.
True.
Exactly. Don't judge foreign women by American standards. Don't sell yourself short. You can be selective.
True.
Facts. You are the
That's a
prize,
good point.
not the foreign woman, no matter how that comes across.
True.
Yes, yes. If y'all enjoying the stream, y'all could donate Cash App. No excuse ENT.
True. Clyde in the
What up,
building.
Jay
What's up,
Clyde?
Clyde?
You still in the building? Let's see. Let's see. Why are they on a website if they don't need a man? They're looking for sponsors. I mean, I would say that's true. Most women on these dating sites, for the most part, and I don't think it's a negative thing all the time. I mean, some of them want a man that can provide, that they want to be submissive for and treat well. Most most Latin women, if they're going to play their part, whether they are street girls, professional women, gold diggers. If you give them money, they're going to give you something in exchange for that. You know, whereas you tricking or whatever in the United States, or got a wife, you doing your part, you still not getting nothing in return. So I would say at least with the foreign women, regardless of what they do, you know what I mean, they're gonna you're gonna get good treatment in return.
Correct.
They all need financial support overseas. My experience, Columbia, when they will ask for money. Okay, I think we seen this one already. Well, when you understand minimum wage is 300, then you can see why on average the majority of women will need some assistance. Oh yeah,
Right.
facts, facts.
I sit back and I think that it's unfair for us as American men or European men or Canadian men to even question that in regards to knowing that the dollar is rigged. The dollar is your dollar for the same 40 hours a week is 4 times as much compared to theirs. That's not even fair to talk about. They need sponsors, they need this, they want money. That's not even fair. Your dollar is 4 times as much. And if you were in the States, women in the States expect you to step up with your money. These women in the States are telling y'all in your face every day on social media. You need to have a 6-pack with a longer than a 6-inch. You need to make 6 figures and be 6 feet tall. And your dog need to have 6 puppies. They're telling you every day. They're telling you in every song, every lyric, every video, every television show, come with that bag. And then you got an audacity to come to another country and cry when these women tell you, baby, I need 500, I need 600 a month. You crying 600 a month when these chicks in the States are telling you, I need 6 figures. And if you ain't got 6 figures, don't come my way. And Kevin Samuels, you got to have a dude in the States. It's so bad. You guys have to have a Kevin Samuels to protect Black men, especially when it comes to the craziness of economics to women in the States. They actually believe that every Black man could actually produce automatically 6 figures. And you need a Kevin Samuels and other guys like us to tell them, ladies, you are not being realistic. But then you want to come to another country and these women say, well, they all need the want of a woman in another country, for the most part, especially South America, cannot compare to what those women in the States are asking you. I would rather have a woman in South America say, babe, can you chip in 600 a month? Then we good, compared to a chick in the States telling you bring in 6 figures a year. And they ain't never dated nobody with 6 figures. They got 3 kids and they sitting back patting their weave and got the audacity to tell you to bring 6 figures. And you crying when you got to use a passport and pay $600 a month. Are you really that broke? I would never sit back and make a statement about what these women in South America at. What do you need? What you need, $1,000 a month? That ain't nothing compared to what them chicks in the States telling you to bring. Why are y'all crying about what you got to bring to the table in South America? I don't get that one.
So my question is coming up. I'm gonna get through these 2 real quick.
Okay.
Would you recommend new travelers to take precautions when they start traveling so they don't get baby mamas all over the world? New travelers get excited when they start to travel for the first time. I would say this, and I'll let you respond. From my experience, foreign women will allow themselves to get pregnant by a local before they allow themselves to get pregnant by your ass.
Preach.
They do. And what's funny was, did I want to have a baby with a chick? No. But what's funny is that some dudes be hitting raw. They be doing what they do in the U.S., skeeting. Them chicks will more than after pill your ass, whatever it takes. They will not. That's how you know if a chick really into you or not. Black women lovers, for the most part, they allow themselves to get pregnant by it.
Mm-hmm.
Not a white man, not a Latino man, a black man. They allow themselves to get pregnant by us. Foreign women, they allow themselves to get pregnant by a local man. That's why you can be like, man, I was smashing this girl for months, man. She never got pregnant. And you stop talking to her, next thing you know, she got a belly with a local Dominican or Colombian or whatever. So for dudes knocking chicks up internationally, fortunately, them women, you know what I mean, it take more than just, you know, being a Pookie and Ray Ray to knock them chicks up. They really gotta like you for them to be caught slipping. Any thoughts for this question? For that question?
I agree. I agree with what you were saying. Usually because the dude is geographically located here in this country, so the child can be raised around their dad at least. So you're right. We're not saying that women in other countries don't. I mean, women in South America or in DR don't get pregnant by foreign dudes. We're just saying that it's less likely because they don't want to. They're willing to morning after that pill all day long. You're right, because they at least want to, at least with the local, they know that this child can eventually, if the person say, I don't want to be a part of my child's life, that child can eventually hunt dad down in 16 years and ask why. They can't hunt your ass. You're in another country, so they can't hunt you down. And just say, Dad, why? Why, Dad?
Facts. Let's see. Could you break down specific needs of a financially independent woman? I don't know if we touched on that. I mean, I know we kind of touched on that. You kind of mentioned that every woman, regardless of her situation, can benefit from something that you can offer, you know, for the most.
True. He said, break down the financial independence of Colombian women. The same thing that every woman that's independent in any country has. You see chicks in DR that are independent, that are driving the same Porsche trucks that a woman in the States would drive with a Porsche truck if that's what she wanted, if she's independent. You'll see women in DR or in Colombia got their own condo or their own villa or their own townhouse that looks just as beautiful as a woman's townhouse in the States that she purchased. So women that are financial independent is no different. It really isn't any difference for an independent woman, because independence means affordability. She can afford that nice home she purchased, just like the woman that's independent in the state can afford that nice home or the nice apartment or townhouse that she may be wanting to purchase, or that nice vehicle, or she can afford to put her kids through school or private school, whatever it may be. She may be able to afford to get that nice $1,000, $2,000 purse in any country. So it's not any different. I promise you guys, we're overthinking it. Women, basically, no matter where you live in the world, are the same. The basic structure of, now everything builds on that as far as like culture and behavior and how they treat you, that's different. But as far as the foundation, a successful woman is a successful woman is a successful woman no matter where you go in the world. And most products that are available for successful women to buy, nails, hair, purses, cars, all that's available. Even if you go on an island like DR, you find a successful woman, you're going to see her driving by in something nice, just like the States. So there's no difference.
Facts. So I want to ask this question because, you know, you mentioned you have some talking points about, you know, you shouldn't be thinking about money or how much, you know, I mean, she won or how much you can give. and you threw a couple examples. So we talk about simping and tricking a lot in the Passport Brother
Oh yeah.
space. And those are usually like the hot topics, man. Hundreds of comments. So, from your opinion, is there a such thing as a simp or a trick? And
Absolutely
if
correct.
so, what's the distinction?
There's a difference between a provider. And I actually wrote the initial notes that I wrote down was for this, and this is how you can, guys, make sure you're ready to take notes or rewatch this episode. This is how you know if you are simping or if you are providing. First sign of that you are simping or providing, because there is a difference and you'll know. First thing is stability in the relationship. In other words, are you assuming that you're in a relationship, or is this an actual relationship, just like me, just like we are, just like we're in real relationships? So when we make provisions, we know that at the end of the day, it's towards somebody that's going to be in our life for a long time. So a dude that's simping, he may be either assuming or he's just sending money out there, and ain't nothing wrong with it, but you simping, bro. You simping. If that person has no stability in your life, notice I use that term, stability in your life. If that relationship that you have with that person has no, I don't mean that you've been smashed, I've been smashing her for 5 years. I'm not talking about that stability. I'm talking about relationship stability. Number two, that's the difference between the provider and a simp, is this: equality. Does that person bring something to your life that is well worth it, and you're providing those economics? So if you're providing economics, what do they provide for you? Like we said, it's not fair to judge women in other countries because of the rate of the dollar is far more. So it's not a fair fight. So we already know that your dollar is way more worth way more. So what is it that this person brings to your life that's equal to the economic stability that you bring to their life? My wife just did a video on sex, sandwich, and silence. She knows that if she said, I bring nothing else to my husband, I know that the money that I bring in cannot compare to the American dollar, but I can give my man good sex. I can make sure he always got a hot meal, and I can make sure that he, in any area of his life, my husband has peace to accomplish what he needs to accomplish. My husband doesn't have to worry about getting his visa. I'll take care of that. My husband doesn't have to worry about translating to make sure he gets his driver's license. I got him on that. My husband needs his ID. Don't worry about it. I got him on that. Andrea doesn't even let me know what's going on. She'll just walk in the room and say, I made you an appointment for this, appointment for that. I took care of this. I took care of that. That's equality. That's the difference between a simp, because I'm a Libra, so I'm always going like this with the scale. So if there's nothing that brings forth equality in the end, like I say, even if just peace, you're bringing economic peace to her, and she's just bringing you peace to your soul. Something that doesn't bring them, something's got to balance out. If it doesn't, you simping. If it doesn't, you simping. Number three things that's the difference between a provider, a man that's providing for his wife or girlfriend or that special person, and simping is. The next one is the responsibility. Test the waters of responsibility. Can that person actually be responsible with the economics that you share with them? Or are they just saying it? Baby, I need $200. Could you send me $200? Because, we got these bills to pay. And next thing you know, she done spent that money on, she done gave mama 100, and she done went out there and party and went to the bachata club with that $200 you sent her. Can she be economically responsible with the $200? I was sending Andrea thousands to make sure we got the furniture for this, the down payment for that, make sure we had this, make sure that in the living room was taken care of. I say, I'm 6'3", I need a king size California king bed. This Columbia, so she had to hunt down a California king bed. I'm sending money over here while I'm still in the States because I'm not coming over here half stepping. So is that person doing with the money what they said they would do, even if they're saying, babe, I just need a few dollars to go have fun with my girl? Is she being responsible? Can you trust her can you test the waters with her and realize if you say, baby, this month I'm not sending any money, will she trip or will she say, okay, baby, I understand? Test those waters, because a simp, you tell that female that you ain't gonna send that money this month, you ain't gonna hear from her. Don't worry about it. Don't
Right.
worry about
Exactly.
it. You see what I'm
Exactly.
saying? That's the difference between a provider and a simp. A provider who's in a relationship with a woman that you can test the waters with, you can tell her, baby, well, you know what, next I'll send you the money next month, or I'll just send you 100 this month, and next month I'll send you 3. She'll understand that. But a dude that's a simp, tell her that you ain't gonna send that money for 30 days. Tell her for 60 days.
Yep.
Some of you dudes ain't even got the balls to tell that chick that you ain't gonna send that money for 30 days, because you know that the answer that's gonna be is she's gonna disappear. That's a simp. Last thing that's a sign that's the difference between a simp and a provider. Now, remember, I said the first thing was that you have to be a stability in the relationship. Number 2 is equality. Does she bring something into your life other than sex? Let's not even put that in there because that's a given. But does she bring something to your life that's just as valuable as those dollars that you're putting into her life? Number 3 is, can you test the waters of her being responsible with the monies? Number 4, the final one is, there's no guarantees. There was no guarantee that I could have been simping. I'm sending this woman money to get this. There's no guarantee. That's the last one. You can't sit back and say, well, if I send her this amount, it's guaranteed she's going to be faithful. If I send her that amount, it's guaranteed that she's going to do what there's no guarantee. We already just said Latin women get jealous easy. There's no guarantee if you say, well, I'm going to send you $500 a month, and I bet not see you ever get jealous. There's no guarantee. So when it comes to all of this, everything that I just mentioned, it's good in regards to simping or providing, but there's no guarantee that either the provider is not someday simping, or maybe the simp is just, well, simp is just a simp. But at the end of the day, that's the difference between being a provider and a simp, because a simp he doesn't trust himself to test the waters of her economic responsibility. He'd rather hear her lie and say, yeah, baby, I spent the money on that. A simp will not expect equality in the relationship. And she pretty, and as long as she suck it, as long as she pull it from the back and suck it, or lick his butthole, that's all he need. I'll send her everything. Ain't nothing in that relationship equal. He ain't asked her about any economic responsibility. And at the same time, all she got to do is suck you the right way, and you coming out that money, and you think that that's equal. You can find a dude. Don't use your passport, because you can find a chick in the States that'll do the exact same thing. So don't be trying to come to DR talk about the sex is better. Sex is sex. Don't act brand new with it. And the other thing that simp does not look for when it comes to their relationship is true, wise stability. Simps lie to themselves all the time. She my girl. I know dudes that set up here, get off the plane here in Colombia. I say, have you ever been here? He said, well, I got a girlfriend there. I said, okay. Have you ever been here? No. I said, she's not your girlfriend. Well, what do you mean? I've been talking to her online and chatting for 6 months. You have never met this human being, face to face ever in your life. And this is your girlfriend, and you've been sending her money. You are a simp. You are not a provider. There is no stability established in that relationship. And any dude sit back and say otherwise, well, it ain't tricking if you got it. You still a simp. You just a simp that's tricking. That's all that is. Don't try to fool me. I live here. This man traveled all over the place. So y'all, you can't lie to us.
Wow. That's funny, man. Hey, what you said, man, it hits home with me. You know, out of the Dominican, Colombian chicks I dated prior, and whether it was a time where I couldn't send nothing or I had to say no, the typical reactions would be, you know what I mean, like they don't respond to your messages the same way. They they slow to respond, or it's not, hey, amor, or it's not those sweet words that they use. You can just tell the mood has changed, or they not answering their phone like they used to. Just a lot of stuff changed when you say no or can't do something. But what I noticed with my lady was that if I couldn't do something, I get the same smile, the same reaction, the same communication. And I was just like, wow, like I was kind of expecting like the demeanor to change, but that wasn't the case. So you're definitely right. You know what I mean? You simping if you have to give to keep her going, to keep her to treating you the same way, man. So that was deep, man. Somebody said licking his butthole. What? I'm laughing at that.
That's how some dudes act. They like, man, she the first one ever did that, and I liked it. I'm sorry, it's all my money, girl. Like, dude, it's not that serious. You're on vacation, have fun. You met a woman that did some like freaky stuff. Get back on the plane and just go back home and just enjoy your story. Don't sit back talk about she my girlfriend, because both of us are gonna tell you, listen, she everybody's girlfriend. She belonged to the streets, plural, not singular street. So you just a street dude. She belonged to the streets. You just one of her streets. You come down the street, it's a sign named after you, but don't realize she belonged to the streets. Go right down the street, there's a sign named after another dude. Make a right, there's a sign named after the next dude. Make another right, there's a sign named after the next dude. She belonged to the streets. Stop sitting up here sending money to women that you know she belonged to the streets, but she ain't like that. She different than all the women that's a sewer. Really? Really? All of them, huh? She building the church in Sasua right now,
huh? Man, I put this in my notes, man. A simp does not expect equality, man. I'm using that one. Man.
Simps don't expect equality. They hope for equality, but they don't expect equality. A simp rather sit back and lie to himself, lie to you, and lie to her, knowing that she ain't. You know what I like? What amazed me about simps? The woman is not even lying. She's telling the truth. Who she is. She's saying, I'm a con. I'm a shyster. I'm crafty. I'm slick with it. She's telling you who she is. And a simp will still sit up there and say, she's special. She's different from all the other women in Medellin. There's no other woman like her. I know you. I met her under the clock tower in Cartagena, but that doesn't mean anything. She's special. Like, no, dude, you special. You the one that's special, and she know it. She know it.
Facts. OG Bobby Johnson. I was talking to this chica in Medellin, asked for money for internet, tested her, and told her I'll see. She stopped talking to me. Game recognized game all day.
Correct.
All day, correct. Man.
Absolutely correct.
So this is my final question.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, we all been there.
Oh yeah. So my final question, man, and I want you to bring it home, man. So, like I mentioned, you can be dating, casual dating a woman. You have a girlfriend or wife or soon to be wife. Should you take care of a woman that's not your wife?
If you're in a stable relationship, I even played Colombian. Did you know that only 20% of Colombians are married? Right.
Yeah, I know that.
That's 20%. But Colombia has common law marriage. That's why if you're in a relationship or live under the same roof for at least 2 years, you are considered a common law marriage. That's why they don't, 80% of them that they just shack up basically.
Right.
So even though in other words, even though on paper, these men that have little money realize I have the responsibility as if it was on paper, how much more we from the states that may have a lot more based off of the cost of living and rate of exchange of the dollar should be willing to do the exact same thing that these dudes do. These dudes ain't even talking about getting the legal paperwork. At least we talking about getting legal paperwork. So the responsibility of being there for that person as if you have the paperwork and you are in a stable relationship. Like you said, we've already tested the fact of her economic responsibility. We also made sure that there is equality that she gives to me, even though she can't give to me economically the same. She gives other things to you the same, that or equivalent. And you have come to the reality that nothing in life is guaranteed. All we can do is try to let this work or make it work. Now you can give this person what's needed. I didn't sit back and wait till I got married to. I think about it. Andre and I had already planned on marrying, but we didn't get married till a year later. You know, we did the video of me dropping on one knee, but I was still in the States for at least, because you know, at the time period, since we weren't married, I was 3 months here, 3 months States, 3 months here, 3 months States for 2 years of our marriage. I mean, 2 years of our relationship. So while I'm still in the States, I got responsibilities. I got this apartment to take care of. I got this woman that trusted me to take care of. I got making sure everything is furnished in here to take care of. I got apartment insurance to make sure that's taken care of. Oh, she needs money to go over to the other side of the city. I got to make sure that that's taken care of because she went on ahead and gave her younger brother her motorcycle. So I got to make sure she got Uber money because I was the one that said, I want you to stay in our place while I'm in the States. And I want you to make sure that it's purposely furnished so when I get here, I don't have to think about anything. So I had to make sure that I was man enough to be that type of provider. Now, here's the kicker. Because I was already in the habit, once again, people are children of habit. I was already in the habit of trusting her as a wife with economics and making sure she had what she needed to have. It was nothing once I got the ring. It's nothing now. But if you're in a habit of holding back, guess what you're gonna do in a marriage? You ain't gonna sit back all of a sudden. Okay, we're officially married today. I'm gonna just let it all be the man that I'm supposed to be. No, you're not. You're gonna hold it back, and she's gonna be like, "Why are you still acting like that?" Well, babe, but she like, there's no excuse for you to act like that. But you're in a habit of doing that. But if you're in the habit of saying, if this person is going to be the one, I've got to get in the habit of treating them like the one. Now, most immature dudes are going to say this: I ain't gonna do nothing for nobody until we officially get married. Okay, do that. Do it. But that person still has to take care of themselves. They still have human needs. They still gonna have human dreams, human desires, human wants. They see something in the commercial, they're gonna want that just like any other female want that makeup that's on the commercial. They don't want to wait until Valentine's Day when you buy the makeup. They want to just be able to walk out and say, "Hey, let me go buy that makeup right quick. It's on sale right now." The sale is not going to be around for Valentine's Day. It's right now today. They want to be able to enjoy those moments. Andre likes to get her nails and feet done. Now she taught me to get my nail and feet done now because the ladies do such a great job. But my point is that for me to sit back and say, "Well, Andre, I'm sorry, I'm in the States. You can't get your nail and feet done. I'm only going to give you the basic money to make sure all of the furniture and the food and everything is taken care of in the apartment. But I won't give you money to get your nail and feet done when we want to." But then do I think I'm gonna get in the habit of giving her money after we get married? No, I won't. Because I'm already in the habit of doing it the other way. We are all children of habit. All of us.
True. Something just came to my mind. I remember my girl telling me before, like, she felt a certain way about I'll only like give her something before I'm leaving. Like I'm treating her like like it made me feel like I was treating her like a street chick. Like, you know how we say if a chick asking for money, I'll give you money when I'm there, but when I'm not there, don't ask me for nothing. And
Right.
when she told me that, I was like, wow, like I didn't realize that me doing that made her feel that way. You know what I mean? Because it was, it was a habit. You know what I mean? I'll say this too, guys. Being pay transition from pay for play to dating to want to be married, it's a lot of habits you're gonna have to break.
Say that again.
It's
Say
a
that
lot of
again.
habits you're gonna have to
Profound.
break. Yes, you're gonna have to break some habits transitioning from mongering pay for play to a relationship or marriage because and we could talk about this another time. Sexually, you can't. We used to just pulling down our pants and getting service. You know, what I mean, when you paying for it, but when you got a woman, even though
Right.
they
You're
not as
more
demanding,
romantic. Yeah.
right? You have to be a little romantic, and you can't just give them money when you see them like you do a joint. You know, what I mean, a joint that's temporary. You have to show them that they matter more than just what I mean, while you're there. You have to show that
Right.
they matter more.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely. Great
So
statement. That's one thing I never thought about. That's a great statement. Nobody's ever said that. I've never heard anybody on YouTube say that. Ever.
yeah, man. So you mentioned that before you was officially married, you was taking on that provider role. But what about a man that's, he said, you know what, I'm not trying to be married, but I got a situation. We casual dating when I'm in town. She available. We hook up. Or I got a girlfriend, but I'm not sure if I want to, get married or anything like that. Should a guy be sending money? Can he be a provider in that situation, or is it a certain level in a relationship where you should be,
I say if it's a casual relationship, then my money should be casual.
Okay.
I don't owe you. I look out for you. You see the difference between a lookout and providing? It's one thing to look out for. You know what? She need a few dollars. I know she got a daughter. Her daughter birthday coming up. Let me look out. That's looking out for somebody. We look out for each other in the States. My boy got a flat tire. Let me shoot over there, pick him up, make sure we get take him to the shop, make sure the tire get repaired, take him back to get his car repaired. Put it back on his car. We looking out for somebody. So we as black people, we know how to look out. We don't know how to do nothing else.
Right.
But at the end of the day, there's a difference between looking out for somebody that is casual and somebody that you're in a serious relationship with, and now you're a provider. That's the difference. So if it's casual, a casual friendship or relationship that you have with that person, then your money should be casual. It should not be automatic. It should not be. She should not habitually expect your economics. If you say no, I don't feel like doing that, or if you say I'll send you half and you raise the other half, if she says I need $200, you like I send you 100, I send you 50. But to sit back and give this person the whole thing, you should be casual with your money in the sense of like, nah, I ain't got it right now. Even you got 20,000 in the bank, you can tell that person I ain't got it right now and see how they act. But if you're in a serious relationship, of course, you should do serious man things. There's no way to dudes sit back, and that's why I go back to the point of let's not make the mistake of overthinking it and overspending because we overthought it. If it's a casual situation, you might send her $50 for groceries. Okay, cool, every blue moon. But this casual, babe, this is casual. Just like you said, if I'm in town, I might throw you a few dollars. But don't be texting me empty refrigerator, because that ain't gonna do nothing but piss me off. And you're gonna be replaced. Why? Because it's fine women all over Colombia. It's too many Brazilians in Colombia. It's too many Venezuelans in Colombia. It's too many Asian chicks in Colombia. It's too many Lebanese chicks in Colombia. There's too many chicks from indigenous women in Colombia for you to sit up there and deal with somebody trying to con you. You better tell her I got women by the dozen. If I ain't smashing you, I'm smashing your cousin.
Wow. So in conclusion, man, I'm gonna tell you what my takeaway is. You know, it was a lot of talking points, man. But listening to you, you know, I kind of think that I should have probably been considering giving more during the dating phase. You know, obviously I'm almost a month and a half from, you know, being married, but
right,
you know, maybe I should have did more, you know, and not necessarily had the hard mindset of that. I wanted to test her patience. I wanted to see. I wanted her to earn that earn that title being wife, but at the same time, women do have needs. If she was doing her part, why not? Especially if I could afford to do it, you know. But
right.
you know, and then you also brought up about being prepared to do it, you know, whereas you was preparing yourself to provide even before the relationship, you know, I wasn't preparing to provide really up until like now. I was saying, okay, now I know I'm gonna have a responsibility. So, you know, I mean, she's my priority. Whereas I would say now prior, my priorities is like what I got going on in the US and what I got left over. I can see what I can do. So, you know, that's a maturity thing. That's something that may have had to been taught or heard. But you know, it's definitely a lot I could chew on, man. And you know, I want to get your closing statements.
My closing statements is I thank you for inviting me on the live stream, and I enjoy with this grown man conversation. You know, barbershop talk. These are the type of conversations that we need to have more of in the you know, among us passport brothers, because many of us are getting past the stage of just party life, and we're realizing, hey, I do want to relocate to another country, and if I do relocate, I might not want to be alone, and I might not want to be with, like the one brother said, he wants polygamous relationships, which is excellent, but it may not be for everyone. So for the rest of us, we may want to be in a traditional relationship. Nothing wrong with that. And we need to have these type of serious conversations to prepare us all for relationships outside the country, because nobody wants to get got. In other words, nobody wants to end up like, man, I thought I had something good and she tricked me. She got me. So with having these type of conversations, we get a chance to think and realize, okay, am I making the proper decision, or do I need to reassess my situation, or even just I may be messing up a good thing. So you don't want to mess up a good thing. So at the end of the day, I'm just glad that we had this conversation. And guys, take your time. Take your time. If you're still in the States, take your time. Move to another country for you, not just for the other person or other people. And just enjoy your life, man. But like I said, at the end of the day, you got to get out of that scarcity mindset when it comes to your money. Like I said, while I was in the States, I was thinking 5,000 per person. Even though I know, and when I was living in Tampa, it only cost me, with all my bills, with everything, it only cost me $2,500 to take care of Andre in my apartment after I sold one of my houses. But at the end of and I knew I was moving to Colombia. At the end of the day, I still created and kept a 5,000 per person mentality. Then I met Andrea, and I fell in love with her, and we decided to get married eventually. Another 5,000 per person responsibility. Now we're talking about having our first shorty, 5,000 per month responsibility. I may not hit this month that pinnacle, but guess how close I'll get to it, because I have that mentality. But if you sit back and be like, I'm going to Colombia, it costs barely nothing to live in Colombia, that's how you'll be. barely nothing. You'll be barely nothing. Just enough. I got just enough. I'm good. I can still travel. I can still get my cigars in and my hookah or my hookah and drink my drinks. Just enough. But you'll never be able to go over to, like you said, you'll never be able to go to Brazil for a month. You'll never be able to fly down to to Argentina like Ace has just done. And really, for real, you'll never be in my circle. I don't fuck with broke-minded people. I don't mess with people that just barely making it in their mindset. I don't mess with y'all. I would rather deal with a brother that's out there, and that brother's out there grinding, driving trucks, and doing this thing. He said, one day I'm gonna own my own truck, and I'm good with it, Dre. Them the dudes I mess with. I mess with dudes that may say, I'm a taxi driver today, but I'm gonna own a fleet of these taxis. Them the dudes I mess with. All my partners at home own land, property, business. All my dudes back home are business owners, except for maybe one in the group, and he got a good job. So why I'm gonna go come to Colombia and you dudes get off a plane and you lames? Please, you got to be a man of stability and focus to be around me, because my personality is large and I only mess with dudes with large personalities. I like to be around dudes that say, I'm ex-military. I just retired, Dre, a couple years ago, and I'm moving to Colombia. I got a partner that just spent 20 years working in LA. He just retired. He worked for the prison system. Just retired. Used his YouTube money to buy himself a brand new house. They're the dudes I mess with. So if you're a broke thinker, you'll never be around me ever, because you can't handle being around me, because I only think larger and larger. I want to get to that point where I'm like Bezos. I want to be able to look at my minutes. $1 million a minute. This dude making $1 million a minute. That's how I'm trying to get to. And if you ain't got that type of hunger, you ain't going to be around me, because I'm going to get on your last damn nerve, talk about positive stuff and goals and dreams and hopes and desires and helping people and providing for people. That's my closing statement.
Man, facts, man.
Be the best man you can be. Be the best you can be for you and your family. I'm
up here thinking earlier today, like, man, I want to be rich, but I don't want to be too rich. I don't want money to change us. But what you just saying is like, you can't limit yourself. It's like, I'll be happy with $1 million, but what's wrong with 10 million?
What's wrong?
Wow.
Nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. We got to always think about the next generation. We got to always think about one of the things of being rich is getting to the point where you're wealthy, where you're providing for other people. You know how much money that we've given away since we started YouTube? We've given away thousands upon thousands in food, thousands in donations. I've given away more money with building this brand than I've given away in the States with great job. Wow. Because only people that are about their business really think about knowing the ability of, if you sow it, you will reap it. Most of us that we didn't think about that. We just think about our paycheck and our little bank account and maybe a little piece of property we got. But people that are out here doing it, right? That's how you do. Me and Andre even though we talk about having shorties, we also trying to buy our first fourplex next year.
Yes, sir. I like to hear that.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, man, brother, I definitely appreciate your time, man. I wasn't too sure how much information we could get on this topic, man, but it was very fruitful, man, and I hope the brothers took some gems away, man.
Yeah. I think we all did. I think we all learned from each other today. Not just me from you, from me, and me from you, but we also learned a lot from the guys in the comment section. Shout out to them.
Oh, yes, sir, man. Well, fellas, man, until next time, man. Tomorrow night, real quick, I'm gonna do it live with our brother Kanal from Black Man Travels. we're gonna kind of do like a pre-Valentine's Day show. We're gonna talk about how to spice it up for the ladies, you know. And you know, Brother Kanal, he's pretty knowledgeable, man, and like, you know, what to bring, what to buy, you know, some BSDM type ideas. So, you know, it should be interesting tomorrow night. So you know, so tune in. But yeah, till next time, man, we out.
All right, fellas. Have a good one.